A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Escape, brought to you by the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York and the independent marketers of Richfield gasolines, motor oils, and other petroleum products. Look for the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps.
Tonight, we escape to the Nevada desert in the story of a foreign spy who sought to renounce the left arm and become once again an American citizen. As Hildegard Thielhet tells it in her exciting new novel, The Rim of Terror, starring Miss Nancy Kelly.
I don't know why I gave him a lift. Even now, with the terror gone like a half-remembered nightmare, I can't be sure why I stopped the big Bentley convertible on that lonely road in Nevada and gave him a lift. Maybe because he looked so bedraggled standing there hatless in the rain by the side of the road. Maybe because he smiled grimly, almost with a sneer that was a challenge. I don't know. Anyway, I slammed on the brakes and he walked slowly up to the car. Torkel, my big Chinook, stiffened on the seat beside me. Quiet, Torkel.
So you've decided I don't look like too much of a risk?
Not at all. Please get in. You look very wet.
As a matter of fact, I am very wet.
Backseat, Torkel.
Torkel, is it? How are you, Torkel? He's quite a dog. I bet he could easily kill a man.
Oh, he's really quite well behaved, and he wouldn't attack without orders.
You have made yourself quite clear. Impressive machine, this.
I love it, but I'm really not used to it yet. I just got it last week.
You drive it very well.
Oh, thank you, but I don't really.
Where are we now?
I'd say about 25 miles east of Winnemucca. You're new to this part of the country?
Yes and no. I've never seen that view before.
It's breathtaking. Such a difference from back home.
Back home?
New England. This is the first time I've ever been in the West, and I love it. The scenery is
yes,
so...
but this particular scenery doesn't appeal to me very much.
Why not?
I'd say there's someone waiting for us down there. Look.
I looked. And far below on the valley floor was a fork in the road and an abandoned building. Near it was a black speck that looked like a wagon and two smaller black specks that moved. Men, no doubt, though from here they looked like ants.
I'd suggest slowing down. Not much, though. I expect they're watching us through field glasses.
Who?
Let me out here.
What?
This cut hides us from them. Stop the car. I'm sorry our ride together must end so soon. Don't be afraid. Have your dog sit in the front seat and keep him there until you're safe in Winnemucca.
I don't understand.
You know what a roadblock is?
A roadblock? Are the police after you?
Not the police of this country. Just tell them you have not seen me and they'll pass you on all right. Goodbye. Thank you.
He turned and started climbing the steep bank at the side of the road. He stopped halfway to the top and impatiently motioned me to go on. I slipped the car into gear, and suddenly I felt very much alone and scared. I motioned Torkel into the front seat and started down the pass into the desert valley. A couple of miles further, at the forks, the road was blocked by a black delivery truck. I was almost tempted to swing around it, but the man in the plastic raincoat who held his hand up so casually didn't look dangerous at all, so I came to a stop. Another man in a black raincoat was leaning against the truck trying to clean the mud from his shoes. Across the panel of the truck was a sign that read, Nevada Public Opinion Surveys, Carson City. I felt a little silly for feeling scared a moment before.
Howdy, miss. We're making a traffic check.
Yes?
Mind answering a few questions? Only take a minute.
What do you want to know?
Well, now, let's see. Where are you from?
Vermont?
Vermont. Well, I declare. We don't get many tourists from Vermont. You come all this way alone?
Well, I don't suppose you'd count my dog as a passenger.
I guess not. Although I always say a dog's a man's or a woman's best friend. Nobody else with you?
No.
Have you given any rides to hitchhikers?
No.
No.
Through the windshield, I saw a man in the black raincoat reach into the van. There was a smear of yellow paint on his raincoat, and the letters on the neat sign were blurred. It had been freshly painted, and the paint had rubbed off when he leaned against the sign a moment ago.
Even if you've given somebody just a short ride, we have to put it down. It's for the statistical average.
I'm sorry, but I've lost too much time already. I can't answer any more of your questions. The man in the black raincoat was beside the car now, peering in over the interviewer's shoulder.
Somebody's been sitting in the seat next to Curlyhead there. You can see where the seat's wet. Let's quit stalling, Mr. Smith.
Shut up. Ma'am, you can see for yourself you've had somebody sitting in that seat not very long ago.
My dog.
Your dog's as dry as a bone, ma'am.
I'll search the trunk compartment. Maybe she's got him hid in there. You get her keys, will you?
You take your hands off the steering wheel.
Now, ma'am, just give me the keys.
Talk over. I had no idea the Bentley had such power. It leapt forward under the accelerator as I swung it around, clipping the front bumper of the delivery truck, skidding across the wet road and throwing a sheet of liquid mud over the two men. Through the rearview mirror, I could see them running up the road after me, then stop and give up. I shifted into fourth and headed back up the mountain at 80 miles an hour. And then, as I rounded a curve, there he was again, my passenger, laboriously clambering down the bank at the side of the road. He waved to me when he heard the car. And again, I don't know why I stopped. Maybe it was the painful way he was limping. Maybe because his figure looked so tiny and alone in all that vastness. Maybe it was because I remembered the cruel blue eyes of the red-haired interviewer glowering balefully behind his thick glasses. Anyway, again, I stopped. Backseat, Torkel. Get in. I'm driving back to the main highway. I can take you into town that way.
I would not have hailed you, only I twisted my ankle up there.
Oh? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was watching from the hill. What happened down there? Lose your nerve?
I'm afraid I did. After they saw the damp mark your suit had made and the man reached for the ignition keys, I guess I lost my nerve.
Where was the third man?
There wasn't one.
He must have been hiding. Was one of them red-headed with glasses?
Yes. The other one called him Mr. Smith. What's this all about? Who are they? Who are you?
I suppose I do owe you some kind of an explanation. My driver's license and army discharge say I am Peter Whittlesey of Elko, Nevada. But they're very excellent forgeries.
Forgeries?
Oh, yes. You see, I am, or rather, was a spy.
What?
Yes, I landed in San Francisco 3 days ago in the crew of a little Greek freighter. Mr. Smith met me. His assignment was to get me from my ship to my new job.
Where? Los Alamos, New Mexico?
Naturally. I ducked him last night. Why are you stopping?
Get out.
How far can I walk on this foot?
Please, just get out.
When you picked me up, I was on my way to the police to give myself up. It's my only way to get away from them. You must believe me.
It sounds like a bad movie. Now get out.
What about that bullet hole?
What bullet hole?
In the windshield.
Oh? Well, I didn't see it before.
My friend, Mr. Smith, of course.
I suppose I didn't hear the gun go off over the sound of the motor.
Do you believe me now?
Maybe I do.
When you have been sent on a mission into a country by the left arm, you're not supposed to change your mind and go over to the other side. They don't like it.
The left arm? What's that, a fifth column?
Well, I suppose you could call it that.
How do you speak English so well if you're a foreigner sent over here by the left arm?
Foreigner? I was born right here in Nevada. And this is the only way I could get back home. No, please, don't make me get out. Take me to the nearest police station, will you? Please.
I suppose it was my New England conscience, or maybe just plain old curiosity, or maybe... Well, he was attractive. And on the twisting downgrade into Winnemucca, I learned his story, how he'd been born in Nevada of Central European immigrant parents, how he'd been taken back to their homeland when he was 11, how he'd fought the Germans with the partisans, and after the war had been educated as an undercover agent by the left arm, how he'd passed every test and resisted every temptation his teachers offered in his one desire to return home to America.
And believe me, America is home. I was born here, and I want to work here and to die here.
Do you think the police will believe you?
I don't know. Do you?
I want to, but it's a pretty wild yarn.
It's true. Every word of it.
I know it is. I feel it is.
Thank you. And now, tell me a little bit about you, a poor little rich girl.
Well, don't let this beautiful car fool you. It's the only extravagance I've ever indulged in my life.
Well, I must say, when you decide to be extravagant, you don't do it by halves. Oh, there's the city hall. Police station must be there. You can drop me here on the corner. You won't waste any time getting through town then. Thank you. I don't even know your name to thank you.
It's Elizabeth Whitehill.
I shall never forget it, nor your face.
You're forgetting your coat.
Huh? Oh, thank you. My name is really Alex Peck. I hope I shall see you again someday. Until then, wish me luck.
I do, Alex.
Goodbye, and thank you.
He turned and was gone, limping across the courthouse square, and I suddenly felt very much alone. I headed west once more for Highway 45 and the straight road across Idaho and Oregon for Seattle. And then a few miles further, Torkel nudged my arm. No, Torkel, no, we don't play when I'm driving, no. I glanced at him and slowed down. He had a wallet in his mouth. Alex's wallet. It must have been dropped out of his coat as he left the car. He'd need it. It was part of the proof of his story. I swung the big Bentley into a side road, whipped it into reverse, and straightened out on the road back to Winnemucca. I let the car out. 80, 90, 100, 105 on one straight stretch, and then down to a cautious 55 as I entered the town limits until I pulled up before the police station in the basement of the courthouse. Stay, Torkel.
Ma'am?
Are you the officer in charge here?
I'm Sergeant Helding.
I'm looking for Mr. Alexander Peck. I drove him here not more than a half hour ago. Mr. Peck left his papers in my car. I thought he might want them, so I brought them back.
Well, he's, gone, ma'am.
Gone?
Yep. Ma'am, you don't know how lucky you were. That fellow was a lunatic.
Lunatic?
Sure. His name is Peter Whittlesey from Elko. Nuttier than a fruitcake. He escaped from the Carson City Asylum last night. They came for him in the wagon.
A black panel truck?
That's right. Had Carson City State Asylum painted on the panel.
In fresh paint?
Pardon, ma'am?
You've made a dreadful mistake. That's the same truck that stopped me back at Indian Forks. It must be. You're one of the most stupid, incompetent ignoramuses that ever sent a man to be tortured. Yes, and perhaps murdered.
Now, ma'am, them's mighty hard words.
And I mean every one of them.
Now, ma'am, let's not have any sass out of you. You're too nice a gal to go around picking up strangers. Just run along now, ma'am. We're pretty busy
but
here.
Don't you understand?
Understand you're wasting our time. Good day, ma'am.
No.
Just a minute.
What?
That's your car over there, that yellow Thunderbolt.
Yes?
You have any idea how fast you were going when you passed the airport?
Why,
Well, I'll tell you. I was doing 90 on my motorcycle, and you walked right away from me. I got a good mind to throw the book at you.
Here's a free offer you won't want to miss. A free offer by your Richfield gasoline dealer. Just for the asking, you can get a new 32-page baseball book that's a hit in any league. This new Richfield baseball book is the most interesting book of its kind ever published. It contains all the Major League schedules and many minor league schedules. It shows the World Series box scores, and it has a special baseball quiz you can try on your friends. In the free Richfield Baseball book, you'll also find seating diagrams of leading stadiums and dozens of other interesting facts on America's #1 sport. But the supply is limited, so be sure to get your free copy tomorrow from your Richfield gasoline dealer. Stop where you see the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps. Ask for your free copy of the new Richfield Baseball book tomorrow. And now we return you to Escape, starring Miss Nancy Kelly.
He was tall and capable looking, this state trooper. He had a kind face, even if he was threatening to throw the book at me. I told him the whole story, every bit of it, and he believed me. And you will help me, won't you?
That van can't go much faster than 55 miles an hour, and my motorcycle can do close to 100. We didn't run into the van coming into town from the north, so I guess it's traveling along the highway south to Reno, maybe to California. I can catch it and stop it, sure, so what? How do I know the guy isn't a lunatic, and the van isn't on the level? I got to have an identification.
You'd like me to drive behind you?
If you can identify those guys as the same guys who stopped you and tried to shoot you, I got a case. I'll make them wish they were never born. Let's go.
Once outside the city limits, the motorcycle leapt forward. I held the Bentley at 60 until it was a half mile ahead of me, and then I accelerated to keep the distance constant. The tachometers crept up 4,500, 5,000, 6,000 revolutions per minute. The cars we passed were silent blurs, respectfully pulling to one side at the peremptory scream of the motorcycle siren. Then down the shimmering surface of the road, miles ahead of us, appeared a lurching black speck. It was the van. The trooper waved his arm for me to slow down and swung alongside the truck. It was like watching a jerky movie from a great distance. And suddenly, the motorcycle swerved away, and the trooper was firing his gun. The van lurched into the ditch. The motorcycle slithered across the road, threw the officer onto the pavement. The man in the black raincoat stepped down from the van and walked toward the fallen trooper, stopped and fired his gun. And then the trooper raised his arm and fired. The man in the black coat fell forward and caught his balance and then slumped to the ground like a puppet with a broken string. I slipped into gear and drove up to the truck. The man in the black raincoat was lying on his back, staring sightlessly at the sky, a little red hole in his forehead. The trooper was sprawled out on the shoulder of the road, a trickle of blood from his chest soaking into the sand. Another man was slumped against the wheel of the van. They were all dead. And neither of the two men from the truck was Mr. Smith. Neither had pinkish red hair. Mr. Smith wasn't there. Mr. Smith still lived to avenge and pursue. But somebody else in this silent scene of death was alive. Somebody inside the truck, scratching at the bolted door. I unlocked the black doors of the van. And there he was. There, strapped in a straitjacket, was Alex. It was not until I'd untied him and had him safely out of the truck that I became faint.
It is all over. This part, at least. There's no reason to shiver and shake.
I can't stop.
It's shock. Now, let us pick up the pieces. How did you get here?
I found your wallet.
Go on. Make yourself talk.
You dropped it in my car. I thought you'd need it at the police station.
Are you well enough to drive that machine of yours?
I think so. Where?
Well, that depends on what happened to Mr. Smith.
Where is he? I thought he was in the truck.
No. Have you seen him?
And since he stopped the car this morning at Indian Forks? Where do you think he is?
I have not the slightest idea, but he's looking for us, you may be sure. We've got to get away from here.
All right, I'm ready. Come on.
No, wait a minute. What happened to you?
He pointed to my jacket. It was splotched with a deep red stain.
Blood.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, the cans of paint in the back of the truck when you untied me. You must have spilled one. Take it off.
Why?
Do you want people to ask questions? Here, get in. Start the motor. Give me that jacket.
What are you going to do?
Ditch it. Oh, there's a car coming. Let's go. Good. It's in a dip a couple of miles back. They did not see us.
My mother knit that jacket for me.
Good. Then you know where you can have it replaced. Where are you headed?
We'll drive straight through to Seattle.
Oh, Seattle's too far.
No, now listen. My friend in Seattle, Charles Matthews, he'll know what to do. He has connections, even in Washington.
He may not be too willing to help me. Under the circumstances, I could hardly blame him.
Charles is bigger than that.
I wonder.
2 hours later, we were 120 miles nearer Seattle and filling the gas tank at a lonely motor court set in a clump of scraggly pines.
Sure is a thirsty bus. Took 22 gallons.
Yes, it was nearly empty.
That'll be $5.28.
Will you cash a traveler's check?
Oh, sure.
All right, just a minute. Alec.
What?
My traveler's checks, they were pinned inside my jacket. The jacket you threw away. We'll have to go back.
Do you have any idea what that piece of road will be like now? Half the population of Winnemucca driving out to see where the gun battle occurred?
But, Alec, that's all the money I have in the world.
You can stop payment on them. You can get your money back.
But now, right now, I've only got $1.75.
Let me see what I have in my pocket. 2 silver dollars, a lot of chicken feed. Yes, we can make it with $50 to spare. Here you are, madam.
Thank you. Come again.
How are we going to get to Seattle on 50 cents?
The moment I have not got the slightest idea.
Well, this tank full of gasoline won't take us half the way.
You could phone your boyfriend, collect, and tell him we are strapped and ask him to wire you some money.
I couldn't ask Charles for money.
Why not?
You wouldn't understand.
If you don't want to ask him for money, don't. I'll figure something out.
No, like robbing a bank.
Maybe.
Oh, with your training, that shouldn't be too difficult.
Perhaps.
I'm sorry. That was unkind of me. Why do you suppose we're bickering like this?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Haven't you?
No.
Neither have I. Payette, Idaho was the first big town. It was dark when we got there. Alec told me to pull up in front of the hotel.
You can get a room and a hot bath while you're putting in your call to Charles.
I can't get a room for 50 cents.
Look across the street. That's what I've been looking for.
What?
A pawn shop. My watch should be good for a few dollars. It's Swiss, international currency, you know, Swiss watches. Now beat it. Get a bath. I'll take Torkel with me and call you in your room in half an hour. Come on, Torkel.
The hotel clerk showed me to a room on the second floor. It wasn't a very quiet room. On the corner beneath my window, the people of Payette were celebrating Old Timers' Day. They'd set up a kangaroo court and were trying their fellow townsmen who'd failed to cooperate by refusing to raise beards and wear pioneer clothes. But I couldn't waste time watching the fun. I had to get through to Charles. I placed the call and started the bathwater running when there was a knock on the door. Who is it?
Here, your towels, ma'am.
As I unbolted the door, I happened to glance into the bathroom. There on the rack above the tub, fluffy and white, were my towels. I tried to push the door shut, but it was too late. Mr. Smith shouldered into the room. I started to shout for help, but the sound never came. He hit me in the pit of the stomach with his fist, and I fell across the bed, gasping for breath as the phone started to ring. I couldn't move. I couldn't make a sound. I lay there with the wind knocked out of me, watching Mr. Smith as he picked up the receiver.
Hello? How much delay? Oh, just a minute. I'll ask my wife. She said to cancel the call. We'll try later. Thank you. Now, young lady, no monkey business. You try to yell, and I'll cut off your wind for good. You two, you and Peck, have caused me a good deal of trouble. I had a lot of trouble finding you. You should not have done that.
How did you find us?
The left arm never fails. Where's Peck?
I don't know.
You're lying. If I have plenty of time, I'll wait for him here. He is sure to return for you.
I had to get to Alex. I had to warn him. The bathroom door was open. Smith was holding my arm, but for a moment he relaxed his grip. I swung away from him and threw myself into the bathroom, pulling the door shut and locking it. I expected him to shoot through the door, and I ran to the window ready to jump, but it wasn't necessary. There was a rickety fire escape. I crawled through and ran down the shaky steel stairs, dropped 6 feet to the mud, and ran around the corners of the building toward the old-timers kangaroo court on the corner, and there was Smith coming toward me through the crowd. He reached out his hand for me. I whirled around and shouldered my way through the crowd to the table where the man was sitting with the microphone. Please help me.
Oh, hello there, miss.
Give me your microphone.
Now, just a minute, miss. You can't interrupt this.
Please, it's a matter of life or death. Alec! Stay where you are. They found me. And then Smith came for me. He and a big man with a beard. And then a tawny streak tore through the crowd. Torkham. He heard my voice. He ripped the big man's leg. He jumped at Smith's throat. But before he reached it, the man with the beard pulled out a revolver. And Torkham lay there quiet.
Mad dog. That dog was mad.
I tried to bend over him, but I knew it was no use. He was dead, and Smith had me now, holding me.
I told her that dog was sick.
Your dog?
Yes. To see her, you think my wife cared more for the dog than she did for me. I told her a dozen times that dog was sick.
Let me go. I'm not your wife. Now listen to me. Listen to me, please. You people, this man, he's a spy. He's a monster. He's trying to kill me.
Listen to her. Go on, folks. Listen to her. Drunk. That's what she is, drunk. Such a thing to say about your own husband. Well, I declare. Now, I'm going to take you on home to the ranch and put you to bed. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Wait a minute there. Now, just a minute. Maybe you don't know, but I'm the county veterinarian. You can't leave that dog dead in the street. According to the law, we got to make an examination of any dog that's dead or alive and suspected of rabies. Now, you get that dog in the police wagon.
But my wife...
I don't care about your wife. She wasn't bit. Now, you say you own that dog. Your friend here was bit in the leg, and you was scratched in the arm. Now, you get that dog in the wagon, and you follow him. And you, too.
Now, look here.
Now, you look here. That's the law. Now, get. Or do you want a little help from the rest of these good citizens?
Smith loosened his grip. I turned and edged through the crowd which was moving in on him and the bearded drunk. I got to the fringe, to the open street, and ran toward the Bentley, and there coming towards me was Alex. Coming from the pawn shop, Alex, alive, whole, limping but alive. Alex! Oh, Alex, my dear.
Get in the car, quick.
Torkel, they killed Torkel.
Get in, tell me about it later. We've got to get out of here.
Smith said he was a mad dog. They're holding him. They said he'd have to have a rabies test because he was bit.
Good. We'll notify the FBI from the next town. And I got enough for the watch to buy gas to get us to Seattle. Did you reach Charles?
No, Smith got into the room. He hit me.
Oh, tell me about it later. Oh, slow down. Here's the highway signs. San Francisco left. And there we are, Seattle. Turn right. I said turn right.
You said San Francisco left.
Yes, but...
We're not going to Seattle.
What about Charles?
Who's Charles?
But I only got $20 for the watch.
I think I can get a little more for the car in San Francisco.
Hey.
Go to sleep, darling. You must be worn out. I don't know why I gave him a lift that day, but I'm awfully glad I did.
From the magic of modern chemistry comes xylene, one of the highest octane gasoline components ever discovered. Xylene means new power for your car, new high Antonoc. And listen, today every gallon of Richfield gasoline contains xylene. Xylene in Richfield gasoline means surging power for the toughest hills and quick pickup in traffic. It means smooth, knockless power along the highway mile after mile. Moreover, your Richfield dealer offers you a choice of two great Richfield gasolines, both with xylene. For best results in the highest compression motors, select Richfield Ethyl. Ethyl at its best. For the average motor, get Richfield High Octane at regular price. Each Richfield brand is tops in its class. Each contains xylene. Try Richfield gasoline with xylene. Test it. Compare it with any gasoline. Stop where you see the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps. Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson and has tonight presented The Rim of Terror by Hildegard Tylette. Adapted for radio by Mr. Robeson and starring Miss Nancy Kelly with Hans Conried as Alex. Special music arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Next week.
You're being haunted through the war-torn ruins of Berlin by a phony music hall mind reader who has stumbled on a secret that can send you to the gallows and from whom there is no escape.
The Richfield Oil Corporation of New York invites you to be with us again same time next week when once again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Escape, brought to you by your Richfield gasoline dealer and the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York, marketers of Richfield gasolines, motor oils, and other petroleum products. Look for the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue puffs.
Tonight, we escape to Berlin, and the story of an occupation GI trying desperately to break through a web of death that is being spun around him, as Morton Fine and David Friedkin tell it in their exciting story, Pass to Berlin.
Greta was laughing. For me, there was no joy in it anymore. I looked through the window at Berlin, spread out like a half-buried skeleton. Berlin after a war, shock-carved in jagged concrete. And reflected in the window, Greta. Greta standing behind me with a drink in her hand.
Oh, Schatz. Oh, Liebchen. Oh, drink your drink. Oh, drink with me, soldier boy.
No, forget it, Greta.
Oh, such a pretty name. Ed Sawyer. Such a handsome face. But such a frown. Now, come. Make Greta laugh. That's all Greta wants. To laugh a little. To forget her loneliness.
Sure. Laugh and forget, just the two of us. Me and Greta, and let the rest of the world go by. Well, you made your loneliness, baby. You and Hitler.
Oh, you.
I'm funny, huh? A real funny man, huh?
Oh, great. I should have met you a long time ago. Greta likes you, soldier boy.
Well, nurse a broken heart, kid, because I'm leaving.
What's that? Leaving? Greta remembers when you said love to her.
Yeah, I remember, too. Only now I remember why I'm in Berlin wearing a soldier suit.
American, you swine. Candy bar American soldier. The conqueror from the cigarette democracy.
Now, just dream it, kid. Dream your dream about how an American soldier was once nice to you. Right now, that's all.
Wait.
What?
Oh, wait a minute.
Come on, Greta. Get out of my way, will you?
Oh, Greta is sorry. See? Look, Greta is sorry. She's sorry. Please, don't go.
Well, the mood moves you real fast, kid. All right, so now you're sorry.
Oh, kiss me, big soldier boy. Handsome soldier boy.
I said out of my way.
Dirty American, you Dreckschwein, thou Kerlschwein, you murderer of my country, you democracy weakly cat. Hey, oh, I could kill you. Kill.
Listen, I said get out of my way.
Get
out of my...
Take this out. No, don't.
For a second, I stared where she'd fallen, motionless. Her head lay against the lead piping of the wash basin. I watched a small pearl of blood squeeze through her lips. Then it died, too. Then I remembered. Fingerprints. I'd handled two things in that room. Greta and the highball glass. I smashed it to the floor and ground it with my heel. Outside, it was raining. That was a break. Because the rain had washed away the human rubbish that litters the Berlin pavements at night, and no one saw me leave the house. I walked, turned some corners, walked some more. Then a splash of neon smeared across the wet pavement, and I looked up. A theater. A theater for the amusement of GIs and the rehabilitated natives. I bought a ticket and went inside and found a seat.
Ladies and gentlemen, the headline attraction of the evening, the most astounding mind-reading act of the century. Direct from London, the great Stanley and his lovely assistant, Mona. Mona, who sees all, knows all, and tells all.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are those among you who will disbelieve what you are about to witness. To these I say only, wait. You must. I will descend among you, walk down the aisle, and here I ask one of the audience for some small object whose description is known only to himself. Do you have such an object, sir?
Yeah, I got some.
You call that something?
That's a barrack value, you guys.
Yeah, here, give me a reading.
Thank you. Mona?
I listen, Stanley.
What is it that I hold in my hand?
It is something that has come from far away. An envelope. Postmarked Vincennes, Indiana.
Correct. An envelope postmarked Vincennes, Indiana. Mona?
I listen, Stanley.
What precious thing do I hold in my hand now, Mona?
Stanley.
Reach into the spaces beyond space and tell me, what do I hold in my hand?
A locket.
Ja, das ist right, ein Locket.
A golden locket, and inside there is a strand of golden hair. A child.
Ja, das ist das Haar von meinem Kind. Na, also sauber!
Oh, they were good, the great Stanley and Mona. Slick, poised, and professional. Two glittering phonies who knew the score, and they kept it up.
Mona!
I listen.
Do not lose your concentration. Now, identify this object.
Stanley?
You must, Mona. You must.
There's darkness here. Only darkness.
Come on, what's the matter?
Something stands in the way. There's a murderer here. A
They rang down the curtain, and I sat there until the next act came on. Sat there and knew there was no way anyone could have guessed about Greta. No way. It was just a cheap, rotten, dramatic trick to suck the audience in, and it had worked. Oh, some of the audience was laughing. Others were obviously affected by it. Moronic idiots with their mouths open and their eyes uneasy. And me? Well, maybe I was being naive, ridiculous, but I had to find out. I waited until the audience began to give attention to a tired, blonde singer. There was a door to the left of the orchestra pit that led backstage. I slipped from my seat and headed for it like it was my business. I walked down a corridor. There were cells on each side tagged with performers' names. Mona's door had a star on it. The star was gilt, and the gilt was peeling.
One moment. Yes?
She was taller than I thought. Her face was delicate with an almost wistful expression, but it was her eyes. Gray and soft, as if the color had been strained through gauze.
Yes? What is it?
I came back to congratulate you on your performance, Mona. That's quite an act. That's real big time.
Thank you.
Only you're phony. You are, huh?
Please go away.
It's real phony, isn't it?
You're a man whose words are like acid in the hands of a child. If you do not scar yourself, you will scar others. I do not wish to speak with you.
You're not even English. Oh, no, don't close the door on me.
Please.
Yeah, that's better. You're not English, huh? Are you American? Come on, where you from, huh? You know, you got a fair act there. That guy who calls himself the Great Stanley.
It's not that.
Oh, then, why did you say there was a murderer in the audience?
I don't know why.
Well, then you were kidding.
I felt his presence. There was a murderer.
You still feel it?
Yes.
Mona, there's a cab waiting to take us to the hotel.
Hi, Stanley.
Good evening, Sergeant.
This gentleman knocked on my door.
Well, I'm glad he did. It's always a pleasure to meet a soldier. A medical corps man by your shoulder patch, I see. Welcome.
Oh, thanks.
Will you wait for me in the cab, Mona? I'll only be a moment.
Do not be long. I need you with me.
You saw the extraordinary performance, Sergeant.
Saw you, Ed, saw you.
Oh, I consider it an honor that you should take time to come backstage and express your appreciation. That a hard-bitten GI should become a convert to Mona's miraculous powers.
Are you kidding me, or Or am I kidding you?
No. We don't have to kid each other, do we? We fellow sophisticates, However, the others out there, well, perhaps they were fooled. It's amusing to kid them, and also one lives this way.
Well, you and Mona should check on each other. She tried to make me believe your act was on the level.
Well, Mona is my wife, and she's loyal to the illusions that I create about her.
Ah. Well, then that murderer bit was phony.
Oh, naturally, but effective, don't you think?
Yeah. How did you think of it?
Oh, an inspiration, Sergeant. Sawyer. An act such as ours needs one piece of sensationalism to shock a new audience, and we have it, don't you think?
Yeah, you got it. Oh, just one thing, Stanley.
Of course.
Tell Mona something for me, will you?
Of course.
Tell her her eyes are the most beautiful I've ever seen.
Oh, she will be pleased. She's blind, you know.
His smile held, and the smile was phony like their act was phony. I knew now I had nothing to worry about, so I left. I went back to my room in the Garmisch Hotel. Stood on the balcony for a while, watching the fingers of light from Tempelhof play against the sky, lighting it up fitfully, disappearing. And far away, silhouetted the hulk of some broken buildings, caught now in the beacon, then lost. I watched it, stared, and then I saw it. The outlines of some structures blasted by bombs, but it's like a scaffold, a gallows. Precisely that. And something else, a figure detached itself from the shadows, a figure of a man scavenging among the rubble of the torn buildings, and he stopped, and over his head the gallows. The man and the gallows caught against the night. I went to bed, closed my mind to all of it. Toward morning, I had a dream. I dreamt I was standing in a stone yard, and I was watching some men, some blind men. And they were building a scaffold. Then I was awake, and I jumped out of bed. I saw what the hammering had been. Nailed to my door was a shroud for a dead man. And pinned to it under a single white carnation, a small white envelope. Adlon Florist, it said. And on the other side, some writing. In memory of Ed Sawyer, it said. Thou art cursed because thou hast killed.
What does the word xylene mean? To a scientist, the word xylene means a superoctane gasoline component, one of the highest octane gasoline components ever discovered. To a motorist using Ridgefield gasoline, xylene means new flashing power on the toughest highway grind. Xylene means new high anti-knock that gives you a quiet running motor, and new lightning acceleration to snap you out ahead in busy traffic. Why? Because today, every gallon of Ridgefield gasoline contains xylene. What's more, your Richfield dealer offers you a choice of two great Richfield gasolines with xylene. Select Richfield Ethyl for best results in highest compression motors, or Richfield High Octane at regular price for the average car. Each contains xylene. Each is a champion in its class. Stop where you see the Richfield Eagle under cream and blue pumps. Get Richfield High Octane or Richfield Ethyl gasoline containing xylene, one of the highest octane components ever discovered. And now, we return you to Escape.
Guten Morgen. I may do something for you, Sergeant?
Yes, you can.
You're fortunate, Sergeant. Just arrived this morning, fresh-cut camellias, flown in from Italy.
No flowers. A shroud. Talk to me about a shroud.
A shroud? My heartfelt condolences, Sergeant. A shroud, of course. If you'll come this
A shroud that was delivered to the Garmisch Hotel, room 312, this morning from your shop.
Yeah, naturally. I remember such an order. I pray it met the requirements.
I'm crazy about it. Why was it nailed on my door?
Why? I do not understand.
I didn't order it. Who did?
Why, early this morning, Sergeant. Early this morning by special post. An order for a shroud and a wreath with instructions for their disposition.
Who wrote the order? Who gave these instructions?
That I do not know, Sergeant. It was a typewritten, unsigned, and more than a sufficient amount of American money to take care of everything. I thought somebody who wished to remain anonymous.
Well, here's some more American money. Now tell your boy to tear that thing off my door.
Yeah, but Sergeant...
Tell him, Florist! I left him there. Nobody knew I'd killed her. Nobody. I went back to the hotel to think about it some more, to try and think it away.
I made myself to home, kid. I knew you wanted to see me.
He wore a derby hat and a tight overcoat with a moth-eaten fur collar. Cheeks ruddy, eyes red-rimmed, and a replica of his nose could have been bought in a carnival supply house. Oh, jolly, a jolly fat punk with a mission.
Sit down, kid. Take a load off of Brain. The man is here who will take care of everything, just like the corpse that died in the good old USA.
Who are you, and what do you want?
Here, take one. That's my
I
card.
can see it from here. It's real pretty. Now, what does it say on it?
Joseph Scarn, it says. That's my name. Mortician, it says. That's my business.
What?
Oh, yeah. Puzzles you, huh, kid? I just got to tell you about Joe Scarn. That'll explain me to you.
Yeah, do that, will you?
Yeah. Well, see, back in the States before the war, this was my career, mortician. That's funeral director. Then they demobilized me right here in Berlin. Now, this is the break I've been waiting for all my life. Where better to pursue the career mortician than right here in good old Berlin?
Come on, get up. Come on, get out of here, will you?
Don't
Come on,
rush
get
me,
out.
kid. I'm going to make the final arrangements for the funeral.
Funeral? What funeral? Nobody's dead. Nobody's even feeling bad.
Well, this overjoys me tremendously, son, but look, about the casket.
Look, this is a joke, isn't it? A gag? Isn't that what it is? Something the boys who came on past with me cooked up? That's it, isn't it? Come on! They sent you here. That's it, isn't it? Come on, will you talk to me?
Take your hands off me, soldier boy. You got the hysteria.
Come on, who sent you here? Come on!
A letter. A letter this morning with money and instructions.
Typewritten, no signature?
Oh, you peak.
Come on, come!
Yes, that's right. It said to come to this hotel room and make arrangements to receive the body.
Whose body?
Well, the letter said the body of Ed Sawyer, Sergeant, Army of the United States. Said Ed Sawyer was about to die. It said he was going to be executed for murder.
All of a sudden, there were no more words. His jaws were moving, but there was no sound. Even when the folds of his fat face moved into a chuckle, I got nothing. He was out of focus, all blurry. I ran past him and out onto the street. It took me an hour to push my way through Berlin's derelict, scarred alleys to Greta's rooming house. If someone in that house recognized me as a murderer, I would know it. No matter how he tried to hide it, I would know it. Face him and take it from there. That was what I had to do.
Bitte? Was wollen Sie?
Have you ever seen me before?
Bitte?
Oh, don't kid me, all you crowds know English when you need it. Now, have you ever seen me before? Come on, talk, will you?
Lassen Sie mich los!
Lady, come on.
Heinrich! Kommen Sie schnell!
Was ist?
Der Soldat will etwas wissen.
Yeah. What you want, Sergeant?
Well, that's better.
Our papers are in order. Everything in our houses, as you Americans have ordered. Wait, I will show
you. Don't fret yourself, Dad. It's just that I have a feeling I've been to this house before, and I've got to find out.
Is this some kind of a drunken joke you're playing with us?
Just tell me if you've ever seen me before.
You're sick. Please go away from us.
Yes, that's right. I'm sick. It happens like this lots of times. Amnesia, you know, it's the war, but... Now, look at me, look.
Yeah.
You're sure you've never seen me before?
Yeah, we are sure, Sergeant.
Yeah.
Come sit down.
No, wait a minute, will you? Come in.
Yeah.
Your other guests. Could I see them?
What is the need, Sergeant? One has been drunk for 3 days.
Yeah.
He will stay drunk for 3 days more.
Yeah.
Another Elsa I have not seen for a week.
Nein.
And the third is in the morgue. This morning she was taken there dead.
Ja, tot.
That Lisa. Always she gave us trouble. Yeah, Elsie? Yeah? Police, doctors, questions.
All right, I'm coming. Yeah.
Sergeant Sawyer. Sergeant Edward Sawyer.
Yeah?
This is Stanley speaking. The great Stanley.
Oh.
Will you do me the honor to meet me at 11:30 tonight in the Tiergarten in the Seekers Alley? The statue of Frederick the Great will be a charming spot.
Well, charm me over the phone, Stanley. I don't like the cold night air.
It can be helpful. Bring penicillin with you.
Bring what?
Penicillin. They're so desperate for it here in Berlin, they pay fabulous wads of money for it on the black market. Bring all you can. And later, as I ask you for it, you'll bring more.
Oh, look, we've...
For an American soldier in the medical corps, it's so easy.
You going crazy, Stanley?
Oh, my dear Sergeant, a murderer. A murderer does not question another's sanity. To him, all other beings are insane. Haven't you found it so?
How would I know about murderers?
Ask Greater.
Greater? How did you find out about her?
You told me, my dear boy, when you were so curious about a murder after the performance. You told me when you permitted the grisly humors of the shroud and casket to force you to revisit the scene of death.
You followed me.
Yes, of course I followed you. Each of your flights of terror was more and more promising. And when you went to the rooming house, I made inquiries. They told me of the lonely girl who'd been murdered, and they were very accommodating. You're still there, Sergeant.
Yes, I'm still here.
But then I can expect you then at 11:30. It'll give me time to change after the performance.
Sure, 11:30. I'll be glad to do you the honor, Stanley. Oh, he made it easy. For nothing, he'd let me know who it was I had to be afraid of. Stanley. The great Stanley. And Mona with the pale, lovely, blind eyes. Boy, what an act they had. I wondered how many times their sensational finish had paid off like this. How many murderers had handed themselves over to Stanley and Mona on a platter for nothing. But I could change all that. I could get off the hook real cheap. I could fix it so Mona and the great Stanley would let me rest in peace for nothing. No, not for nothing. Just the price of an admission ticket. There were about 30 people in the theater, most of them soldiers. The opening act was on when I got there and slid into a seat. A family of French jugglers whirling shiny hoops on every loose piece of anatomy on the stage. Stanley and Mona were next to closing, so I figured I had about an hour. I waited until the French were balancing everything but the proscenium, and then when they had everything in the air, I used the same orchestra entrance to backstage. The door to Mona's dressing room was open. The room was dark. I eased inside just as the next act came hurrying down the corridor, still hooking up their costumes. I brushed against a moldy curtain that hung from wooden rings. I pulled it back, hid behind it, and waited.
Still, I cannot understand why you must leave me tonight, Stanley. What is so important at 11:30?
Through the dim light of the corridor, I saw Mona walk into the room and sit down at her dressing table. Stanley was right behind. He was reaching for the light switch when my hands found his mouth and his throat, and I began to strangle him. My fingers dug into his flesh, and I crushed his breath back into him. He made no sound. There was only the soft laughter that seeped through the theater, and his soft throat in my hands. And Mona's soft voice.
Why do you not answer, Stanley? Is it a rendezvous? Stanley? Stanley, what is it? Why are you so silent? Stanley? Stanley!
Suddenly her fingers were on my face, frightened and quick, like the wings of a wounded bird. Then slowly they began to search the empty air for the dead Stanley. She turned and her blind eyes stared right at me, and I brushed her aside and ran down the corridor. An old doorman sat reading a newspaper at the stage door. I couldn't get out that way without her seeing me. Only one way, back through the theater.
Ich bin ein bisschen verrückt geworden. Jetzt knall ich ihn vor den Latz, dass der Kind gar nicht mehr passt.
I started up the aisle, and then I knew I was doing the wrong thing. There was an MP at the head of the aisle, a corporal from the MPs, the braid, the white spats, and the club. In this tiny audience, if I left in the middle of the act, he'd remember me. So I sat down on the row that was the most filled. When I looked back at the end of the act, there were other MPs standing at each exit. Then the curtain rose. Mona stood there with a man you see on every street in Berlin, a German policeman in the natty German police uniform.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I shall descend among you accompanied by this esteemed gentleman and read your mind through my fingertips.
You, sir. I can read your innermost secrets by touching your face. So, sir, you and this girl beside you. You told your wife you were working late at the office tonight.
She worked her way up the aisle, coming closer and closer.
And you, sir, my fingers reveal that you have bought an escape from KP duty. Please. And now, there's a gentleman in this row. My fingers reveal he has a medical corps shoulder patch.
Come on, take your hands off of me, will you?
What's the matter, soldier? You afraid Mono will give away your secret?
Come on, one side, will you? Let me go. Come on, soldier, move it, will you?
Go on, John, go.
Come on, let me out of here, will you? Come on, guy, move!
He's got secrets. You got secrets. Hey, Mono, what are you waiting for? Tell us the soldier's secret.
Come on, move, will
Come on,
you?
everybody. We got a right to the sky secret.
Oh, shut up, will you? Shut up!
Mono, hurry up. He's gambling.
They held me there, laughing. The others all turned in their seats to stare. The German cop pinned me back in the seat. And then Mona's fingers reached out and trailed across my face. Lingered. They were the fingers of death. They were cool and gentle. Almost a caress.
This is the man. This is the murderer.
Spring weather is hard to figure. Cool one day, summer heat the next. Those quick temperature changes are tough on you. And they can be tough on your car, too, unless it is properly protected. Don't take chances. Get Richfield All-Point Safety Service now before damage is done. Get the protection that a careful all-point lubrication job from chassis to motor can give your car. In addition, Richfield All-Point Service includes a safety check and proper care of all likely trouble spots, such as the battery, spark plugs, tires, and radiator. Drive into the Richfield gasoline dealer station tomorrow. Save yourself time and trouble by having all the necessary spring servicing done at the same time by a man who knows how to do it right. And while you're there, ask for Richfield's informative new 32-page baseball book. It's free. Ask for your copy while the supply lasts. Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight has presented Pass to Berlin by Morton Fine and David Friedkin. Featured in the cast were Stacey Harris as Sergeant Sawyer, Peggy Weber as Mona, and Ben Wright as Stanley. Special music arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Next week.
You are lying on a small knoll in the prairie west of the Platte River. In a few moments, dawn will herald the attack of the encircling Apaches. An attack of such fury that for you, there can be no escape.
Next week at this time, the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York invites you to escape with an exciting tale of the Old West. As James Warner Bella tells it in his thrilling story, Command. Be listening. Goodbye, then, until this same time next week when once again we offer you Escape. Tom Hanlon speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Escape, brought to you by your Richfield gasoline dealer and the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York, marketers of Richfield gasolines, motor oils, and other petroleum products. Look for the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps.
Tonight, we escape to the prairie west of the Platte River and to the Indian fighting U.S. cavalry of the Old West, as James Warner Bella describes it in his exciting tale, Command.
Brittle, sir.
Yes, Sergeant.
Here comes Lieutenant Cohill back with the patrol.
Yes, I see him. Halt the column.
Yes, sir. Helm! 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 Helm!
Hand me my field glasses, Sergeant.
Yes, sir. Here you are, sir.
Thank you.
Captain Brittles.
Well, Mr. Cohill.
Here's the best body of grass, sir. This slope with the small run below for water. This is the best bivouac for tonight.
Mr. Cohill, do you see the rise there to the left behind you across the valley?
Yes, sir.
What are those shapes lying on that slope?
A small herd of buffalo. Sleeping, it seems. We didn't go that far, sir. We turned back when we saw them.
The wind has shifted a bit. Take a deep breath, Mr. Cohill.
Yes, sir.
Smell anything?
No, sir.
Take another deep breath, Mr. Cohill. Get it in your nostrils and tell me if what you smell is sleeping buffalo.
No, sir. Smells like dead men.
And not freshly killed.
Lieutenant Gresham and his squad, sir?
I imagine so. The men we've come to find. We'll make sure after nightfall. Mr. Cohill, there are several fairly obvious differences between the Great Plains and a classroom at West Point. There you can fail and try again. Here you may not have that chance. There they taught you, I am sure, that accuracy in observation is a military virtue. I suggest that you cultivate it here. Sergeant Utterback.
Yes, sir.
This is the bivouac. Dismount and unsaddle. Night grazing area between the crest of this hill and the creek bottom. Use the picket rope, no individual pins.
Yes, sir. Yes! Out! Yes! Out! Yes! Now!
Yes, sir, Captain Brittles. No, sir, Captain Brittles. Of all the officers in the United States Cavalry, why did they have to assign me to him? A handbook soldier, overage and grade. A bitter failure of a soldier, marking time out here on the plains until he retires, taking up space in the table of organization, standing in the way of younger and more aggressive and, yes, more capable officers. My father wouldn't be guessing. Father would be over yonder right now to see if those corpses are really Gresham and his men. Father would have made sure instead of losing time making camp. The broken rattle Sergeant Utterback had found at noon showed clearly. Sir, that broken rattle the sergeant found.
Yes, Mr. Cohill?
What, we crossed the trace of that Sioux war party at noon today?
That could have been the trail of a Cheyenne war party. Or Comanches or Apaches. They all make rattles like that from the ends of buffalo toes.
But if they were Sioux, they couldn't be more than 30 miles to the north in the Deadlands. They're afraid of ambush, so they'd be camping away from timber and near water. 2 hours rest and we can be at the upper reaches of the river by dawn, sir, ahead of them.
Mr. Cohill, I have no orders to be anywhere by dawn or any other time. My orders are to find Mr. Gresham's patrol and, having found it, return to Fort Stark and report it. I think I've found him. I'll know as soon as the moon rises and I go over and take a look. Water the mounts in half an hour.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cohill!
Sir?
Reading minds is an uncomfortable habit, but one I have never been able to lose.
Yes, sir.
Look at the other side of it. Suppose that war party was Cheyenne, which they might be instead of Sioux. They wouldn't be in the Deadlands. Cheyennes would head for timber along the lower Mesa Roja. So would Arapahoes, Kiowas, or Comanches. They'd all bivouac in the open timber. And, Mr. Cohill, they all make rattles out of buffalo toes.
Yes, sir.
Pass the word to Sergeant Utterback that dinner will be at 6:30, but the bugler will not sound calls.
Yes, sir.
And, Mr. Cohill.
Yes, sir.
There is no shortcut to the top of the glory heap. So we'll not run all over the West tonight looking for one.
But if death in battle is a soldier's path to glory, Mr. Gresham and his patrol had found a shortcut. Yet what we looked upon that night on yonder slope was not glorious.
Well, at least they respected them as fighting men.
How's that, Sergeant?
Every one of them skinned bald-headed so he could cross the shadow waters without trouble.
And whoever did it don't want to fight 'em again.
Why?
Hands and feet cut off, that's why, sir. To cripple them in case they meet in the hereafter.
Sergeant?
Yes, sir?
Do you still think the Sioux did this?
No, sir. Not now, sir.
Why not?
Sir, I made the march from Bent's Fort to Santa Fe with Steve Carney, and I know an Apache arrow when I see one, sir. Even 1,000 miles from where they're made.
Yes, but that Sioux trail we crossed this morning, that war party could have brushed with an Apache war party and come by Apache arrows that way.
No, sir. No, sir, this job is 2 days old, sir. It wasn't that Sioux war party. This is Apache work.
How do you figure that?
Mostly because the captain knows it's Apache work, too, sir.
Lieutenant Cohill.
Sir?
Take the grave detail.
Yes, sir.
Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
We shall move the company out at 10 tonight.
Yes, sir.
We will return to Fort Stark to report this massacre as fast as we can.
Yes, sir.
So he's showing me. Makes his lieutenant first gravedigger and confides his plans to the sergeant in exchange for flattery. He's an old woman in blue fatigues. Can't hide his bad temper. And worse, he's a frightened old woman. Instead of striking when he has the advantage, he's going to cut and run. In a stiff action, I'd probably have to shoot him and take over the command. A grave doesn't take long to dig in the soft black earth of the plains. And the rocks were nearby to pile upon the still mounds against the hungry muzzles of wolves and coyotes. And after, the air was sweeter in the cold moonlight. And the job done in plenty of time for Captain Brittle's scheduled retreat.
The commander's prepared to mount, sir.
Very good, Sergeant.
Captain Brittle.
Yes, Mr. Cohill.
Excuse me, sir, but can't we go after the Indians who did this? Can't we try to...
Mr. Cohill, the United States Cavalry is not out here to fight Indians. We're here to watch them and report on them for the Indian Bureau. We fight only if they attack us. I refer you to the standing orders of the Department of the Platte. They are most explicit on this point.
Yes, I know, sir, but Mr. Gresham was attacked.
How do you know that?
Well, I don't, for sure.
Of course you don't.
But he's dead, and his command, dead and mutilated, and we ought to...
Go to what? Avenge him? Disabuse yourself of classroom valor, Mr. Cohill. Out here, we obey orders. Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Pass the word to mount.
Yes, sir. Uptight.
You.
That's the word. Mount.
That's the word. Mount.
That's the word. Mount. That's the word.
30 miles already that day, and who knows how many miles ahead of us tonight. The men are tired. The horses are tired. Cavalry is a delicate arm of the service, Captain Brittles. Hour after hour, as the moon threw our lengthening shadows ahead of us. Hour after hour. Walk 30 minutes, trot 5 minutes, dismount and lead 10 minutes, unbit and graze 15 minutes, every hour. Hour after hour.
Got a chaw eat and tobacco, Middendorf?
Ain't got much.
Well, give me a loan or something. You can get some more at the fort tomorrow.
Yeah. Why don't you ever have any of your own?
Don't approve of chawing tobacco. My ma don't, that is. Thanks.
God free mighty. Mexico wasn't like this.
Do tell.
No, sir. When I was with Winfield Scott, the time we took Chapultepec...
Hey, Middendorf. Chavez back in the Mexican campaign again.
Pity he didn't stay there.
Yeah. Just the same, the army was the army in them days. You slept in tents, and when you took a town, there was girls, senoritas, not squaws.
Well, if you like us so darn much, why don't you go back with those girls?
'Cause I was gold brick.
You was what?
Gold brick.
Oh.
I joined up again 'cause they said they'd be fighting out here. Only fighting I seen west of the Missouris on Saturday nights in the Berry. Boy, it sure ain't like hell.
Sergeant Utterback.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
How did you know the captain thought there were Apaches that killed Mr. Gresham's detail?
Well, I've been his first sergeant for a long time, sir. You get to know.
I see. Do I get to know?
This is a different kind of service out here, sir. It ain't full-dress war, but it's the only kind the captain and I ever served in, sir. And you get to know it just like you get to know siege operations or saber charge by company front after you've had enough of it.
I see. "5 hours on the way now. Less than 3 hours till dawn. And we're at the North Fork of the Platte, in a full 25 minutes for watering call. Some of the men lie sleeping where they've dismounted. Others huddled together in the moon shadow of the high bank, quietly talking.
She left me standing there like a bound boy at a husking.
What'd you do then?
Wasn't nothing to do, except join the army.
That little senorita in Mexico City. Time I was with Scott when we took Mexico. Well, she wasn't at all like that. Not at all.
Any of you boys ever ate a lobster?
Not me. I never even seen one.
I had a catfish once. Didn't like it.
I could sure put away a lobster right now. Fresh out of the lobster pot and into the cooking pot.
Alive? Sure.
That's the only way to cook a lobster. Sure wish I was back in Wiscasset.
Get you back in the state of Maine, you'll be pining away for buffalo meat.
Truer word was never spoken. Some people ain't never satisfied.
I ain't never satisfied for a fact. That's how you get someplace in this world. Never be satisfied.
Sure got you a long way, didn't it?
Looks like you can plan on getting even further, Saba. Captain's getting fidgety again.
Oh, yeah. Another day, another dollar.
All right, men. All right, fall in and be quiet. Prepare to mount. Pass the word.
Prepare to mount. Pass the word.
Prepare to mount. Pass it. Prepare to
Mount.
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 Route step. Forward.
Route step.
Forward. Route step. Forward.
March.
Go. Go.
He's heading north.
How's that, Sergeant?
North, sir. Captain's heading north.
You're right, Sergeant. Red Mesa should be to our left. Instead, it's dead ahead. Doesn't make any sense, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
My father would have done things differently. In the cold, dying moonlight, I could imagine him. Young Major Cohill riding out of St. Joe to convoy the wagon trains bound west on the Oregon Trail. What a figure he must have been out here in the old days when the Missouri River itself was the jumping-off place. Killer Cohill, his men had called him. But the wide-roaming Arapahoes had another name for him. Blue Devil with eyes in the back of his head. By this time, Father would have cut those Apaches into coyote meat as they lay sleeping around their smoldering campfire.
Mr. Cohill. Mr. Cohill, sir.
Yes, Sergeant?
Were you dozing, sir?
No, of course not. I was just thinking.
Captain Biddles wants you at the head of the column, sir.
Thank you, Sergeant. Sergeant Utterback said you wanted me, sir.
Yes, Mr. Cohill, I do. This is officer's call. Listen carefully. I have Sergeant Sutro ahead of me with the point. You will relieve him with 8 men and push forward fast.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall the ford across Red Mesa Wash?
Yes, sir. We crossed it yesterday.
Exactly. There is a knoll on the east side of the wash. A knoll that is crossed by the trail from the top of the mesa.
I remember, sir.
Be on that knoll before dawn. Build a bivouac fire as soon as you arrive.
Do what, sir?
Build a fire. I want to know when you get there.
But I can send a messenger back to tell you when I arrive.
I want everyone else for miles around to know it, too. Build a bivouac fire, a squad fire. No larger.
Yes, sir.
Should you happen to be attacked, you are to hold that knoll, fighting on foot. Remember, the dawn light can work for you, but it can also fool you in this country. So don't shoot until the last possible moment.
But I don't understand.
You don't have to. You have your orders.
Yes, sir.
Move out, Mr. Cohill. You're the bait on my hook. Wriggle.
It's new. It's free. Don't miss it. Don't miss this free offer by your Richfield gasoline dealer. It's the new Richfield baseball book. 32 pages jammed with fascinating facts about America's #1 sport. And it's yours for the asking at your Richfield gasoline dealer station. This new Richfield baseball book is the most interesting book of its kind ever published. Listen to this. The Richfield baseball book shows you seating diagrams of leading stadiums. It has a special baseball quiz you can try on your friends. It has a special page on which you can try your skill at picking pennant winners. It has a spring and summer calendar. That's right. The Richfield Baseball Book has all that, plus Major League schedules, many minor league schedules, and World Series box scores. So be sure to get your free copy tomorrow while the supply lasts. Drive in where you see the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps. Ask your Richfield dealer for your free copy of the new Richfield Baseball Book. And now we return you to Escape.
You knew Red Mesa was there only because the stars stopped where it stood. The moon was a honey ladle spilling blackness over the edge of the plains. Then the jagged teeth of the Rockies broke it into ragged potsherds. And it was gone. It was dark. Black dark. Cold dark. The squad fire sputtered and took and pushed the night back a little. This was different. This was command. This was the final moment of the soldier's heritage. To stand ready to fire and be fired upon. To kill and be killed. And it wasn't at all like you expected. It just plumb scared you. Don't stand still, Mittendorf. Keep moving a little all the time. And slap those mounts. Keep them moving, too.
Yes, sir. Lieutenant, sir? How come the captain sent us up here to sashay around on the top of this little old hill?
He said we're the bait of his hook.
Huh?
The decoy. If there's an Indian war party, we're to draw them out. Better put some bacon on to fry, Lusk. Make it look natural.
Yes, sir. Meaning we uns may end up like Mr. Gresham in his patrol?
There's always that possibility.
Oh, it ain't a prospect that pleases, sir.
That's what a soldier lives for, Sarver. To die.
He does? Yes, sir.
It was a good performance. To any watching Sioux or Apache, here was a small white soldier war party like the two yesterday's party they'd left lying scalpless in the buffalo grass 30 miles down the valley. Fire lighted, bacon cooking. Horses unsaddled and warriors sleeping from a long night march. Soft for the kill. Only the warriors weren't sleeping. Beyond the yellow carpet of firelight, they lay fanned out behind their saddles waiting. Sorting the night sounds with straining ears, pushing at the soft wall of darkness with widened eyes.
Wish them dead, burned coyotes didn't sound so much like human beings.
Well, you can be sure of one thing. No Indian is running around in the middle of the night yelling like a coyote.
Yeah, but it sure makes me nervous. Sound like hootie owls back home in Maine.
What's that?
Behind you.
Don't get in a fret, boys. It's only me.
Oh, General Scott's chief of staff.
Oh, something. You're lucky I didn't put a bullet through you.
Nah, you wouldn't do that. Lieutenant said not to fire until commanded.
Any of you fellas ever had Injun pudding?
No.
I ate a sort of bean pudding when I was with old Rough and Ready Zach Taylor at the Battle of Buena Vista. But I didn't like it much.
Was you with Napoleon at Waterloo?
Nope, but I've been talking to the lieutenant.
Naturally. What's the word from headquarters?
It's made of cornmeal and molasses.
What?
Injun pudding.
Seen any savages yet?
No, and don't expect to yet.
Why?
There ain't an Indian west of the Missouri who'll come out and fight at night if he can help it.
Yeah, that's right. They're afraid of taking a chance of being killed at night. They believe if a warrior's killed at night, he'll be blind when he gets to the happy hunting grounds.
Well, then what are we worrying about?
Who's worrying?
Not me.
Oh.
And you can start worrying.
Huh?
Dawn's coming. To make out the mesa plainer.
Sure would like some Injun pudding for breakfast.
Slowly, the light came. First, you could see the outline of the mesa. Then down below, the silver of the water in the wash. Then the shapes of the men. And out across the plain, the feathers of mist in the draws. If it was to come, it would come now. Hold your fire, men.
Arrows. They're shooting arrows.
What you expect? They're Injuns.
What was that? Hit one of the horses.
Here they come.
Oh, my leg.
Hold your fire. Hold it.
Fire! Please firing!
The are Apaches.
I got one of the heathen.
I got two. Look at him lying yonder.
One of them's still wriggling.
I'll fix that.
Hold your fire.
But I was
They'll
just...
be back. That was only the beginning.
Yes, sir.
You all right, Coffin?
My legs. Bone shattered. Hurt much?
A little, sir. Those arrows are sure wicked. Go right through a man if they don't hit bone.
Do tell.
No action in the new army, huh, Sava?
Well, it ain't exactly like your pull a peck.
Here they come again. Hold fire.
Light's better this time.
Makes no difference. Hold your fire.
They're the ones that did Mr. Gresham in. Look, that one's wearing a corporal's chevrons, and there's one with a U.S. cavalry saber.
Where's Captain Brittle? That's I want to know.
Most likely having breakfast at the fort. Decoy. We're just... Lord Almighty!
Well, I took care of almost half of them.
They'll be back.
No, they won't. It's Captain Brittle's now.
Attacking from the flank. Hey, Sava, Captain Brittle's got him on the run.
Hey, can you pull this tarnation arrow out of me?
Down below the knoll, the remains of the Apaches were streaking for the open plains with Captain Brittle's men overtaking them, cutting them down with thirsty sabers and pistoling the ponies as they ran. And then it was quiet, and not an Indian or his pony was left alive. Coffin sat propped up against a saddle, lighting his pipe, his shattered legs stretched naked and useless before him. And Sarva lay where he'd fallen, eyes closed, face blue, his hands around the shaft sunk deep in his left side below the ribs, the feathered tip waving idly with each shallow breath.
Can't we do something for him, sir?
What? Look how deep that arrow is, right under the heart. Can't cut it out, can't pull it through.
Poor Sava. He finally saw action.
Yeah. I can hear him now telling St. Peter about the time he beat the Apaches under Cohill.
That's not very funny.
No. Guess you're right, Coffin. How's your leg? Paining you much?
Can't feel anything. Lieutenant?
Yes, Coffin?
Do you think they'll send me back home to get this fixed? You think maybe I'll get to see the state of Maine right soon?
I hope so, Coffin.
Land of Goshen, no, you won't get further than the hospital at Council Bluffs. They'll wire you together, slap a plaster on you, and send you right back to fight Indians.
It was a strange feeling. A mixture of pride and guilt. Watching a man die whom I'd commanded into action. Looking at the shattered leg of another. And a feeling of helplessness, too. For the moment we could only sit there and wait. Our horses were dead, or stampeded by the action. We were alone on our little hilltop in the hot red glare of the rising sun. And then the company rode back in triumph, and I was reporting to Captain Brittles. And it seemed like months instead of hours since I'd last looked at his tired gray face.
Mr. Cohill, you did that well. You may do in time.
Captain, you knew there were Apaches yesterday at sundown. And you knew they were camped on top of the mesa, didn't you, sir?
Mr. Cohill, accuracy and observation is a military virtue. Had you pushed forward to that slope yesterday afternoon, you would have found Mr. Gresham, not Sleeping Buffalo. Had your eyes been sharp, you would have found this between the slope and last night's bivouac.
An Apache headband.
That's right, and blood-stained. And had you been a plainsman and suspected Apaches, you would have looked at once for smoke at sundown from the highest ground, in this case, Red Mesa.
You had me fooled, sir. I even thought...
The facts for the record are these. My patrol, temporarily bivouacked at dawn today, came under a sudden enemy attack. Fortunately, it was able to hold until I arrived with the main body.
I understand perfectly, sir. I'm familiar with departmental orders which allow defensive actions only and expressly forbid attack.
And yet they are in direct violation of cavalry tactics. The cavalry is extremely weak on the defensive and can only defend well by attacking. I believe that is also taught at West Point.
And I thought you were avoiding an engagement. Captain, I'm terribly sorry.
Mr. Cohill, never apologize. It is a mark of weakness. There is a captain out here who tried it once to escape an inquiry board. He escaped it, but he will die a captain in spite of his apology. The officer who saw to that could have worked with him and made a soldier of him if his humanity had been large enough. Mr. Cohill, I'm going to make a soldier out of you. You may present my respects to General Cohill when next you write your father. Mr. Cohill, take morning stables.
If you drive a car, remember this strange-sounding word, xylene. Xylene is one of the highest octane gasoline components known to science. Today, all Richfield gasoline contains this powerful super-octane component, xylene. With a tank full of Richfield gasoline containing xylene, you've got dynamic power at the tip of your toe. Smooth, knockless power to put you out ahead in traffic. Every gallon of Richfield gasoline contains xylene. But that's not all. There is a Richfield gasoline especially refined to fit the power requirements of your particular car. By Richfield Ethyl. Ethyl at its best for best results in highest compression motors. By Richfield High Octane at regular price for the average motor. Both of these famous Richfield gasolines contain xylene. Get the best out of your car. Get the most for your money. Get Richfield gasoline with xylene. Look for the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps. Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robson, and tonight has presented Command by James Warner-Bella. Adapted for radio by Mr. Robson. Featured in the cast were Harry Bartell as Lieutenant Cohill, John Hoyt as Captain Brittles, Wally Mayer as Sergeant Utterback, David Ellis as Updike, Paul Frees as Sarver, Walter Burke as Mittendorf, and Hugh Thomas as Coffin. Special music was arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Next week.
You're standing in the observation turret of a gigantic rocket ship about to be shot into space on man's first voyage to Mars. In the heavens above you lie the magnificence of the universe, and also terrible dangers from which there is no escape.
Next week at this time, the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York invites you to escape with one of the most unusual of all stories about man's attempt to conquer space, as Ray Bradbury tells it in his exciting tale, Mars is Heaven. Be listening. Goodbye, then, until the same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. Tom Hanlon speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Escape, brought to you by your Richfield gasoline dealer and the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York, marketers of Richfield gasolines, motor oils, and other petroleum products. Look for the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps.
Tonight, we escape to a gigantic rocket ship about to be shocked into space on man's first voyage to Mars. As Ray Bradbury tells it in his famous science fiction story, Mars is Heaven.
Project is magnificent, overwhelming, and tremendous. We return you now to the scene of the takeoff in the desert of New Mexico. Go ahead, New Mexico.
Thank you, London. This is Stuart Novins back in New Mexico. I'm standing here on the great steel observation platform overlooking the takeoff stand. As the moment for departure draws nearer, the whole area has been flooded with artificial light. It bathes the spaceship in a kind of silver luminescence, and surrounding it, engulfing it, this subdued hysteria of hundreds of thousands of people come to see the start of this incredible voyage of 18 men in the rocket ship, the Venture. It's standing there pointing upward, pointing toward the heavens, and in a few minutes it will bloom out into great flowers of heat and color, shocked into space on man's first voyage to Mars. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, prayers are being said for these 18 men and their ship, the first ship to dare the voyage to another planet. Prayers are being said by every creed in mosques and churches and synagogues the world over. We take you now to the Basilica of St. Paul's in Rome. This is New Mexico again. We're sorry to cut in, but that roar you're hearing, the roar of the crowd, it's the moment we've been waiting for. I can see the crew of the Venture walking up the catwalk that leads to the spaceship. The men are entering, and now the escape hatch is closed. Now the men are in the ship. This silence, this great, awful silence of the crowd, it's the voiceless prayer that's in every heart. They're about ready now. Some lights from the ship just blinked on and off. It's a signal. In just a few seconds, a few more. Stand by. Stand by. They're gone. The Venture. It's out of sight.
Log entry, U.S. rocket ship Venture. 1 hour out from Earth. Destination Mars. Past Keneally Heaviside layer without incident. Rate of speed, 450,000 miles per hour. With planet Mars at its closest point to Earth, 35 million miles. Calculate duration of voyage to be roughly 3.5 days. Captain John Black, Master. Log entry, U.S. rocket ship The Venture. 12 hours out from Earth. While navigating supertensioned atmospheric forces, port shield generator broke down. Replaced by booster. Yes?
Lieutenant Lustig reporting, sir.
Come in, Pete.
Have a report on the trajectory, sir?
I'll put it on my desk. Pete?
Yes, sir.
How do you feel?
Feel? Huh. Just wonderful, sir. Sitting up there in an observation turret, I don't know just how to say it. The sights, I mean. Moon so close and Earth looking like... And Mars, sir. Sir? Do you really think we'll make it?
Who is it?
Dr. Hengsten, Captain. May I come in?
Sure, Sam.
You want to sleep, were you, John?
Oh, no, Sam. Just sitting here thinking.
Well, don't think about it too much. Sleep instead. You need all the sleep you can get.
Who sleeps? Who sleeps and has no way of knowing what's waiting for him? Look at it through the porthole, Sam. Mars. How would you describe it, that glittering blob of red?
That's good enough.
Will it consume us? Spew our dust out into space? Maybe it's the Elysian fields, all charm and sweetness and moonlight shining on the restless dead. Which will it be, Sam?
I don't know. All I know is that they told me I was an expert in space medicine. At Randolph Field on a plot of ground called Texas, they told me that. That's all I know.
What are you doing up? You're supposed to be in the sack.
Well, I'll tell you, Captain. Sometimes a man can't sleep. That happens to me sometimes. So I just wander through the ship, check on the boys, see that they're tucked in properly.
That's what you were doing with me, huh?
No. I just...
What made them do it, Sam? What made them volunteer?
Man keeps looking for something. There are no new frontiers now, only new worlds. And there'll always be men who want to conquer them.
Log entry, U.S. rocket ship Venture. 78 hours out from Earth. Approaching gravitational field of Mars. Atmospheric conditions similar to Earth's. Log entry, U.S. rocket ship Venture. 79 hours out from Earth. Have this moment landed on Mars at 1700 hours. We made it. Chemical analysis indicated on ship's instruments shows air to be breathable and will sustain human life. Gravity comparable with that of Earth's.
Ready, John?
Yes. How the men in sick bay, Sam?
Happy? They're all right, John. You ready?
First one thing. Captain to crew, your attention. We have landed on Mars. No man is to leave this ship under penalty of court-martial. Dr. Hingston and I will make a brief reconnaissance. Crew will proceed with repair of ship's hull. As you know, our ship is armed against any possible aggression. I can't impress it upon you too strongly. No man will leave this ship until Dr. Hingston and I ascertain that we are not in a hostile world. That is all. Let's go, Sam.
You first, Captain. Your Honor. You, the first man from Earth to walk on Mars.
This grass. It's a well-kept lawn.
John, look over there. A house. A Victorian house. Colored glass and scrolls and everything.
I don't believe it. Come on. Sam, look at these. 2 iron deer on this lawn. We had a pair of these when I was a kid. Sam, did you hear that? That piano from that house. Sam, this isn't Mars. It can't be. It just can't be.
It can't be, John, but it is. Welcome to Mars.
Perhaps you know that skilled research scientists have worked for many years to develop new high-octane components for gasoline. Components to give your car higher anti-knock performance and greater power. But do you know that from this research has come xylene? Xylene, one of the highest octane components in gasoline history. Now, listen. Today, every gallon of the famous Richfield gasoline contains xylene. Xylene in Richfield gasoline helps give your car new, lively pickup, new high anti-knock power, and new gasoline economy. Furthermore, there are 2 great Richfield gasolines with xylene. That means you can select the right Richfield gasoline to give your particular car the finest performance at lowest cost per mile. Richfield high-octane gasoline at regular price is specially refined for the average motor. Richfield Ethyl at its best, meets the requirements of the newest motors of the highest compression. And remember, both Richfield gasolines contain xylene. Stop where you see the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps. Get famous Richfield gasoline with xylene. And now we return you to Escape.
What did I say, Sam? Somewhere back there in space? That Mars was the Elysian fields, all sweetness and charm.
No, John, it isn't that. It's what you see. A world like ours on Earth.
And this?
A small town with good air in it. A small town like the one I was born in. Same smell of flowers, the same sound.
You think that the civilizations of 2 planets can progress at the same rate, develop in the same way?
I do now.
Well, I don't. Oh, look at that house. A Victorian house on Mars? You expect me to believe that? A house with lace-curtained windows, with port swings, with something that sounds like a piano and probably is a piano, playing beautiful Ohio. You believe all that?
I believe it. I admit it's strange, but I believe it.
Strange nuts. It's impossible. We're going back to the ship.
Wait, John. It could be. It could be that there are similar patterns of thought, movement, civilization on every planet in our system. Maybe we're on the threshold of the great psychological and metaphysical discovery of our time. Maybe we...
Well, go on, Sam.
Maybe this proves the existence of God.
Not everyone needs proof.
I don't. But how else can you explain all this? Johnny, it fills me with terror and joy. I don't know whether to laugh or cry.
I admit it looks peaceful and cool. Pretty much like Council Bluffs, where I was born. That was a good, quiet place, Council Bluffs, Iowa. Do you see that, Sam? Do you hear it?
I see it and hear it. It's there. A horse and carriage going down the street.
Just suppose that by accident or something, we landed on a planet in space in another time. Suppose that this is Earth, 30 or 50 years ago. Maybe we got lost in the dimensions. What do you think, Sam?
So much like my hometown. That house. That room up there with the beaded lamp near the window. When I was a kid, I used to sleep and do my lessons in a room just like that. I'd lie there in the night, and I'd be awake, and I could hear the freight trains across the river, and... John, do you hear that?
I hear it. Let's go.
Where?
We're going up to that house and ask questions. Where else? Come on.
Yes, can I help you?
I beg your pardon, but we want...
If you're selling something, I'm much too busy and I haven't time. We're all at supper.
Oh, wait, don't go. What town is this?
What do you mean, what town is this? How could you be in a town and not know what town it was?
Oh, I beg your pardon, but we're strangers here. We're from Earth. And we want to know how this town got here, how you got here.
Are you census taker?
No.
Well, what do you want, then?
How long has this town been here?
It was built in 1868. Is this a game?
Oh, no, not a game. Look, try to understand. We're from Earth.
From where?
From Earth.
Where's that?
The Earth? What?
Out of the ground, do you mean?
No, from the planet Earth. Come out on the porch, please, and I'll show you.
No, I won't come out there. You're evidently quite mad from this town.
Let me try, John. Lady, we came in a flying ship across space among the stars. We came from the third planet from the sun, Earth, to this planet, which is Mars. Now, do you understand?
You're touched from the sun, too. Go away now before I call my husband from his supper. He'll beat you up. That's what he'll do.
But this is Mars, isn't it?
This is Green Lake, Ohio, on the continent of America, surrounded by the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans on a place called the world, or sometimes the Earth. Go away now. Go away.
Let's take a walk, Sam.
Yeah.
Sam?
Yeah?
There's something going on here. Something we don't understand. I want you to go back to the ship. If anything out of the way happens, lift the ship and get out.
But, John...
That's an order, Sam.
All right, if it's an order. John, look. Look at that woman walking toward us.
Oh, what about her?
Well, she looks like...
Sam! Oh, Sam, you look fine, so grown up. Sam, don't you know me? It's your grandma, your old grandma.
Grandmother?
What's wrong, Sam? This is a happy meeting. And who is this friend of yours?
This is Captain John Black. John, this is my grandmother.
Grandmother?
So help me. So help me, John. This is my grandmother. She's dead. Died 30 years ago. But this is my grandmother.
Well, there's no sense standing here on the street. You just come along to my house. We've so much to talk about. You too, Captain. And your friend of my grandson's is mine, too. Now, don't stand there with your mouths open. Come on. Here, Sam, have some more iced tea. Would you like some more, too, Captain?
Oh, thank you. I would.
Well, here's to our health.
Well, how long have you been here, Grandmother?
Ever since I died.
What?
Don't look like that. I said ever since I died. 30 years ago.
Sam.
Who are we to question what happens? What's living, anyway? All I know is I'm alive again and no questions asked. Here, Captain, feel. Go ahead, feel my arm. Solid, isn't it? You hear my voice, don't you? You hear it, don't you, Captain?
Yes, I hear it.
Grandmother...
Well, then why go around questioning?
Well, it's just that we... I never thought I'd see you again, Grandmother.
Mrs. Hingston.
Yes, some more iced tea, Captain.
Oh, no. I just want to ask you a question. Mrs. Hingston, is Mars Heaven?
Nonsense. No. It's a world, and we get a second chance. It's like another Earth. How do we know there wasn't one before Earth?
That's a good question, John.
Well, maybe we better get back to the ship, Sam. It's been nice, Mrs. Hingston. Thanks for the drink.
You'll be back, of course. For supper, I mean. We're having fried chicken
Wait a
with
minute.
mashed potatoes.
Wait a minute. What's that? Excuse me, Mrs. Hingston.
Sam? Come here.
Well, what do you know, John? A parade with a brass band.
But the crew. My crew marching behind the band with all those people.
But they're heroes. These people are welcomed as heroes.
The abandoned ship. They had orders. I'll court-martial every one of them.
John, listen to me. They found old relatives and friends just like I have.
They have their orders.
What would you have done?
Obeyed orders. I...
What's the matter?
Sam, I don't believe it. It's impossible.
John, they said I would find you here.
Phyllis.
Of course, darling.
Phyllis.
Of course. Who did you think it was?
This is Phyllis, Sam. My 10 years ago. After that, I never got married.
We're waiting for you. Your mother and father.
They're alive?
Waiting for you. At your old house. On Maple Avenue.
You heard that, Sam, didn't you? This is Phyllis talking. And she said Mother and Dad and the house...
You understand it now. The crew. Same thing has happened to them.
Yes. When I open my eyes, it'll all be gone. Phyllis will be gone.
Open them, John.
Phyllis.
Oh, my darling. My darling.
It's good to see you children dancing together again. Your mother would have enjoyed it so much, John.
I must have worn her out with all my questions.
Don't worry about it, son. She'll get a good rest tonight. Then in the morning, the days after... We have so much time now, son. We'll all be together. You and Phyllis, your mother and I. So much time. Yes.
Oh, don't go away from me, John. Hold me closer. I've dreamed so long of dancing with you. No more questions. Just accept it. That your mother and father were once dead and are now alive. That I was killed. 10 years ago, I was killed in a horrible accident. And now I'm alive and in your arms. Hold tight, John. Hold me tight.
Well, I think I'll run along to bed now. You children won't forget to turn out the lights. Well, you know what to do. Good night, Phyllis.
Good night, Father Black.
Good night, son.
Good night, Dad.
Shall we go out on the back porch, John? Like we used to long ago. Come with me, John. Here. Let's sit here on the steps. Remember that grape arbor? You built it. Oh, I remember you hit your thumb with a hammer, and I cried. You're very silent, John. Is anything wrong?
Phyllis, I just had a crazy notion. Suppose this were Mars.
But it isn't.
Humor me, Phyllis. Suppose it were Mars, and the Martians saw our ship coming and saw us inside our ship and hated us, and they wanted to destroy us, but in a very clever way.
Yes.
Well, what would be the best weapon a Martian could use against us with our atomic bombs, our hydrogen?
John.
No, let me finish. The hypothesis is interesting. The Martians would use telepathy, hypnosis, memory, imagination.
Oh, John, don't question us anymore. No more.
Look, suppose this town is some other shape, a Martian shape. But by playing on my memory and my desires and my wants, they've made it what I've wanted it to be.
Yes.
Now, suppose my mother and father weren't that at all, but two Martians, incredibly brilliant, keeping me under this dreaming hypnosis as other Martians have done it to my men. To Sam.
But me. You've had your arms around me. You've kissed me. We shared old secrets. Was that a Martian hypnosis, John?
Phyllis.
Yes, what is it, John? Where are you going?
I've got to talk to Sam. I've got to find out what he thinks now that he's alone with his grandmother.
Stay here with me, John.
Well, I've got to talk to Sam. Maybe he's beginning to wonder, too.
You're not going anywhere, John.
Phyllis!
Phyllis, no! You're not Phyllis! I was right. You're not... You're not...
Friends, comrades, fellow Martians, this is a great day for Mars, a day of great rejoicing. As number one of Quadrant 327B of Sector Q, it is my proud privilege to read to you this message from the planetary All-High. It says, congratulations on your splendid work in meeting the barbarian invaders and atomizing them. You have proven the complete efficiency of Plan A, and hereafter, mass hypnosis will become standard operating procedure in repelling any further invasion from outer space, be they submartian, from Earth, or any other creature from any other planet. Well done. I can add little to this unstinted praise from the All-High, but I would like to point out to you that what you have accomplished could not have been done had it not been for our space heroes who have risked so much and often given all in recent years to keep the planet Earth under close surveillance. This surveillance, as you know, has been accomplished by our space patrols, known to Earthmen as flying saucers. They were courageous, these Earth creatures, to brave space in that crude ship, but they were inferior beings, and therefore they had to be atomized. Their extinction was necessary to ensure our way of life. Yet perhaps, since this has been your first encounter with creatures from outer space, you whose glorious victory this has been, may want to say something. Is there anyone who wants to say something? You?
Well, yes. It was a very interesting experience. He said his name was John Black. He was a nice young being. Nice. He thought I was his father, whatever that is. I guess that's all I want to say.
And you?
No, I don't think so. Well, I thought of something, but I forgot.
I see. And you?
One of them asked me if Mars was heaven. What's heaven?
I don't know. Now for the business at hand. The ship they came in. The destruction of it. Disintegrator squad.
Ready.
Proceed.
Compress charge. 16 atmospheres.
Charges compressed.
Low velocity. Trajectory 2.
Low velocity. Trajectory 2.
Release. Charge!
The ship they came in, it's gone.
motorists, did you ever consider that taking care of a car is something like caring for a baby? It's easier when you've got a system. And in caring for your car, the Richfield gasoline dealer has a system. It's called Richfield All-Point Safety Service. Have the Richfield dealer service your car tomorrow, because hot weather is hard on lubricants. Wear and sudden breakdown can occur before you realize there's anything wrong. With All-Point service, the Richfield dealer will change your oil to fresh, Rich Lube all-weather motor oil and give your car a careful All-Point lubrication job. Chassis, differential, front wheels, and transmission. And that includes service of automatic transmissions with the new Richfield automatic transmission fluid. Richfield All-Point Safety Service also includes inspection and care of all the likely trouble spots, such as battery, spark plugs, tires, and radiator. So save time, save money with this one-stop service. Get warm weather protection for your car now with Richfield All-Point Safety Service. Look for the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps. Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson. And tonight has presented Mars is Heaven by Ray Bradbury. Adapted for radio by Morton Fine and David Friedkin. Featured in the cast were Jeff Corey as Captain Black, Florence Bates as the grandmother, Bill Johnstone as Dr. Hingston, Walter Catlett as number 1 of Mars, Elizabeth Root as Phyllis, Paul Frees as Peter Lustig, Ian Wolfe as the father, and Stuart Novins, who played himself. Also heard were Ruth Parrott and Ben Wright. Special music arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Next week.
You're standing on the floor of the ocean, pronging up a fortune in sponges. But moving closer and closer to you, his huge sponge hook raised to rip open your diving suit, is a man from whom there is no escape.
Next week at this time, the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York invites you to escape with an exciting story about sponge fishers in the Gulf of Mexico, as John and Gwen Bagney tell it in The Big Sponge. Be listening. Goodbye then until the same time next week when once again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Escape, brought to you by your Richfield gasoline dealer and the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York, marketers of Richfield gasolines, motor oils, and other petroleum products. Look for the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps.
Tonight, we escape to India in the story of an ex-army pilot caught up in murderous intrigue. As Joel Murcott tells it in his exciting tale, Serenade for a Cobra.
Got to keep playing. He's got to keep playing that music, and I've got to listen. If he keeps it up long enough, I'll have a chance. But if he stops, I'm going to die. And he may stop. He may stop any minute because that's what he wants. He wants me to die. My name's Monk Slavin. I'm a flyer. I don't know whatever brought me to Calcutta, but something about the name had the smell of gold. Sounded like the kind of place where a good pilot who didn't ask questions might make a deal. A big deal and a fast one. But nothing seemed to be drifting my way. Nothing but the intense hot wind of the monsoon and the fog from the Ganges and the sea, rolling over the city from all sides and strangling it. There was nothing to do but drink gin and quinine water at the airport bar and pray that you didn't get malaria.
Oh, hello, Slavin.
Oh, hello, Grant. You back again?
Just flew in with a small cargo, a very small one. Mind if I sit down?
Help yourself. You won't get out of Calcutta tonight. Another 5 minutes of that fog, and there'll be a better ceiling in here than there is out there.
You sound like the monsoon's getting on your nerves. What you need is a job.
Doing what? Flying stinking hides down here from Kathmandu? You don't call that a job, do you?
It's the best work I can get at the moment. Now, if I had a chap like you to handle the flights, I'd have time to dig up some new business.
You don't have to dig it up, Grant. It's waiting for you. You used to ferry a lot of stuff in and out of China.
Yes, but that was before the present situation.
You could still make a buck out of China. A good fat profit anytime you want it.
I don't fly contraband.
Oh, ethics, huh?
You care to call it that, yes.
That's why you're starving with a lousy one-ship freight line.
I could take offense at that, but I won't. You don't even have a ship, Slavin, and I'll wager you have very little cash.
Well, that's a safe wager. You'd win.
Why not be practical, old boy? I can offer you £100 a month and meals and quarters at the base at Kathmandu.
You know, I don't know how I can resist this chance to become a millionaire, but I'll try.
It's better than nothing. Cushy enough. 420 miles down, 420 back, and no flying over the hump.
No thanks.
Beg pardon, Mr. Grant.
Oh, there's my mechanic.
I have completed your errand, sir.
Oh, that's fine, Jafar. I'll be right with you. If you change your mind, Slavin, you know where to find me.
Yeah, leave a light burning in the window, but don't wait up for me. That's all I got. 2-bit offers from men like Grant. A beggar, just like the reformed beggar that followed him around. His native man, Jafar. A Hindu street faker who learned about planes at an RAF base during the war. Now Grant had him for a grease monkey and a radio operator at the base. You couldn't beat the British. They found a way to hang on. I reached for my half-empty glass, and there's another drink beside it, a full one. A drink I hadn't ordered.
Is it permissible for a lady to buy the drink?
Permissible? It's a big, happy new custom. And thank the lady for me if you ever see her.
The American flyer speaks sharply, like the eagle. But the poor eagle has no wings.
You were going to fix that for me, baby, remember? You had big connections while I'm still sitting here waiting.
My friend can use a flyer, but only if he has a plane.
But just wait here. I'll go out and buy one. How come your hotshot connections can't afford a plane?
It's not the case of affording. Planes are difficult to get. The license, the questions. The authorities are forever asking questions. But my friends, they never ask questions. If you had a plane, for instance, they would not ask who owned it.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
I heard Grant offer you a job. If you worked for him, there would be days when you would be waiting here for cargo. Enough time to make a little extra flight. A flight not on Mr. Grant's schedule. And remember, my friends pay well.
Yeah, maybe Grant's going to get himself a pilot after all. So I took Grant's job, and the next morning when the weather cleared, we drove to the field. Through the teeming streets with hot, oppressive, suffocating wind carrying the stench of the salt marshes across the city. Seemed like an eternity before we were off the ground and feeling the cool mercy of being airborne.
Well, old boy, what do you think of her? Well, she handles all right. I just don't like the Havilands. What is it, war surplus? Yes, but completely reconditioned. Pressurized cabin, heating and air conditioning system. I've changed everything for comfort. Yeah, even the radio. Why the open speaker instead of the headphones? Picked up a fungus infection in my ears in Burma during the war. Headphones were painful, so I put in a speaker. I thought the British philosophy about pain was grin and bear it. Only when we can't do anything about it, old boy.
Oh, yeah, I see. What's our ETA?
Hour and a half. How's your landing strip? We call the base Black Cat. Your plane identification is Red Kitten. The field's a bit like a waffle iron, so set her down as gently as you can. I'll treat her like she was my own, Grant. Just like she was my very own.
Well, Kathmandu was no improvement on Calcutta. I could see it from the air as we came in. The ancient wooden buildings and the temples, thousands of them, but outnumbered by the throngs of humanity in the dirty streets. We barely hit the strip before the rain started again, brought in from nowhere by the wind. We were weathered down again at the stinking base outside the town, and that's when Jafar, the mechanic, started with the punji, a kind of a native flute.
I say, Slavin, do sit down. No wearing me out.
I'm wearing you out. Listen to that thing. Don't he ever stop?
He's just amusing himself. Sit down, man. How about a hand of cards?
How can I concentrate on cards while he's playing that thing? Can't you make him stop?
I can't make him do anything. He's in his own hut, and, well, frankly, he's not bothering me.
Well, he's bothering me.
Why the slicker? Where are you going?
Turn that thing off before it drives me nuts.
Slavin, these Hindus are strange people. They resist pressure. I'd advise you to...
Save it. Grease monkeys handle the same way in India as they do anywhere else.
Slavin, be careful of that.
Jafar! Jafar, do you hear me? Jafar! Jafar, stop that thing! I don't know why I stopped inside the door, but I did. There was something eerie about the room. Something in Jafar's burning black eyes that held me. I watched the flute moving slowly as he played. Then I saw it in the dim light. The weaving, puffed head of a cobra. The snake was dancing in front of him. Oh, I'd seen cobras before in the bazaars and in the streets. No matter how many times I saw them, the sight of that deadly, slowly moving, puffed head was enough to turn my blood to ice. I backed slowly out of the room and closed the door. He played it every night after that, every waking hour of the night, until I could hear it even in my sleep. The strange, whining dirge, bringing with it the memory of a weaving head of a snake. In clear weather, I could get away from it for a while, but it would be waiting for me when I got back. And in Jafar's eyes, there was a challenge. I could feel his hot stare burning into me as we worked on the plane. What's on your mind, Jafar? What do you keep staring at me for?
Why did you change your mind, sir? Why do you now work for Mr. Grant?
What's it to you, Jafar?
Mr. Grant is good to Jafar. Mr. Grant is too quick to trust people.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do, sir. You know.
Get out of here, Jafar. Did you hear me? I said get out of here.
I must work on Mr. Grant's plane, sir.
That's an order. Get out!
Hey! What's going on there?
Get out!
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Get him out of here before I kill him.
Go, Jafar. Please.
All right. If you say so, Mr. Grant.
Slavin, I don't know what started this, but I do know that I don't want it to happen again.
Then keep him out of my hair. I don't like any of these people, and he rates number one on my list.
You made that plain enough. I'll try to keep him away from you. I only hope he will stay away from you.
What do you mean by that?
You've hurt him in his pride, Slavin. You don't understand these Hindus. He won't come back at you with force, but he will come back.
Oh, will he? Well, he knows who's boss now. I'll be in Calcutta with this load tonight. Tell him to get that flute out of his system while I'm gone. If he plays it when I get back, I'll ram it down his throat.
Aren't you going to buy me a drink?
You don't make me any money, baby, so don't cost me any.
But I am going to make you money. A lot of money.
You better come up with it fast. My job looks temporary.
Is tomorrow fast enough?
Tomorrow I'm bringing another load of hides down from Kathmandu. I'm going back there tonight.
Oh, that will fit in nicely. When you leave Kathmandu tomorrow, you will make a short side trip. One stop in China. Then come back here to Calcutta.
China, huh? Well, now you're beginning to interest me, baby. Where in China?
My friend knows. His name is Karkanov. He will be waiting for you tonight when you return to Kathmandu. Meet him at midnight, at the rear of Great Temple of Vishnu, at edge of town.
How big is the job?
Big, but very little trouble. That is, if you are not squeamish.
When I say how big, I mean how much.
For you? 10,000 American dollars.
10,000? How much of that do you expect?
Oh, Karkanov pays me. The 10,000 is all yours. Now will you buy me a drink?
Yeah. Now I'll buy both of us a drink.
Did you know that gasoline is one of the most mysterious chemical compounds in the world? Gasoline can contain hundreds of different components, but one stands out for its remarkable antinought quality. It's xylene. Xylene is one of the highest antinought gasoline components ever discovered. And today, xylene is contained in every gallon of Richfield gasoline. Xylene in Richfield gasoline helps give your car that quick surge of knock-free power. And you feel the silent power of xylene when you zip up a long hill. Moreover, your Richfield dealer offers you a choice of two great Richfield gasolines with xylene. Richfield High Octane at regular price for motors of average compression. And Richfield Ethyl for motors of highest compression. Let your Richfield dealer help you decide which Richfield gasoline is best for your car. Stop where you see the Richfield Eagle and the cream and blue pumps. Get the gasoline that contains one of the highest antinought components known to science. Get Richfield gasoline with xylene. And now we return you to Escape.
$10,000. Enough to get out of the trap. I can go back to the States on that, buy my own plane, pick up my own spots for a smart deal. I thought of it all the way back to Kathmandu. This would be my last night in that hole. My last night. Black Cat. Calling Black Cat. This is Red Kitten calling Black Cat, over.
Red Kitten, this is Black Cat. Go ahead.
ETA 15 minutes. Visibility poor. How is it there?
Poor, but all right for landing, sir.
Light landing fields on all corners of the field. Flares, you hear me?
Mr. Bank has already left to do that, sir.
Good.
Would you like some music, sir?
What do you mean, music?
My music, sir.
Why, that dirty little swine? He's trying to needle me, but I wouldn't let him. I couldn't afford it now. Just this one night, I could forget anything thinking about that. I spotted the oil fires at the four corners of the field, burning a clear spot through the ground haze. I turned on my landing lights and set her down like an old lady's rocking chair. I'd never land on this field again. I'd use it for one more takeoff tomorrow, but I'd never land on it again.
Turn off your flashlight, Mr. Slevin.
Carcano, where are you?
On the steps of the temple. No. Don't flash the light. Keep it off, please.
You're very prompt, Mr. Slevin.
$10,000 worth.
What time do you expect to take off tomorrow?
I'm scheduled to leave for Calcutta at noon.
Excellent. As you have been told, I want you to go into China.
Oh, that's vague. It's a big country.
Inner Mongolia. It's just south of the city of Suchao.
That's about 1,000 miles in.
1,200. Here is a map.
What's the deal?
On the map is the location of a field. Not a regular airbase, but good enough for a landing. You will time your landing for just before sundown. You will take off again almost immediate and return by night.
Back over the hump at night, huh? That makes it interesting.
It will be dull, really, as all well-planned things should be dull, but profitable. A countryman of mine named Leontovich will meet you when you land at Suchao. With him will be an old Chinese. They will return with you.
Too hot for him up there?
The old Chinese is a wealthy merchant. He will bring his wealth out with him. Through connections, we have arranged this escape for you.
But there's something else you'll have to arrange. I don't carry enough fuel to get me to Suchao and back to Calcutta.
You will be refueled. Nothing has been overlooked.
Where do I contact you when I get back?
When you land at Calcutta, taxi to the north end of the field. I will be there with automobile to pick up your passenger and his cargo.
Passenger? You mean passengers, don't you? You said there'd be two. Your man Leontovich and the old Chinese.
Oh, a trifle I forgot to mention. They will both start back with you, of course, but the old Chinese will not complete the trip. You understand?
Yeah, I understand. He disappeared into the darkness, and I started back to the field. The night was full of sound. Even the damp heat had a sound of its own, like nothing else in the world. But there was something else. Jafar. Where are you? Jafar. Jafar! Where are you, Jafar? Where are you? Answer me! I'll find you! I'll get you! I'll get you, you dog! No, the devil. He's riding me. I can't afford to think about him now. I gotta think about tomorrow. Just get back to the field and think about tomorrow. He was on the field in the morning, checking the plane as though nothing had happened. But I could see the glitter in his black eyes like the glitter of a snake's. I wanted to smash his face with my fist, but I couldn't. I had to fly out as though nothing was wrong. The motors caught sweetly, and I lifted off the strip like a feather, and then headed south for Calcutta until I was out of sight of the field. Then I made a half circle to the north and headed for the hump. I car, she took it like a swallow. Past the white peak of Mount Everest, the top of the world, and out over the great plateau of Tibet. Then the northern rim of the Himalayas dipped beneath my wings, and I was over the hill country of Mongolia. I hit it right on the nose, the field outside the town of Suchau, and made my landing just as the bottom edge of the sun was kissing the horizon.
I am Leontovich. The Chinese have a truck with fuel. Quickly.
Why so many of them? Karkanov said there'd be one Chinese.
They are the old man's friends. They come to see him off safely. That is why we must go to the bother of taking him along, far away.
All right, but watch them.
An armored car will come over the hill as we are ready to take off. Do not be alarmed.
I thought you had everything fixed here.
Quiet. They will not be after us. They will take care of the Chinese we leave behind.
Well, there better not be any slip-ups. Let's get out of here fast. Give me that hose up here. There were 5 of the Chinese, and deep in their impressive eyes was quiet terror. One was an old man clutching a wicker basket, but the terror in his eyes was tempered with a glint of hope. The others just stared at the plane with a terrible yearning. The last of the gas trickled into the tanks. We took the hose down. The truck backed off.
You ready?
Yeah, boost them in.
Come, old one.
They lifted the old man into the plane. Leontovich climbed in after him, closing the hatch. The motors caught, and I nosed her into the wind just as the 4 Chinese on the ground made a dash for the plane. The reason was clear. Coming across the hill at the end of the field, an armored car. Hey, what is it? They're shooting.
Not at us, but hurry.
Don't worry. Here we go.
Our friends on the ground seem to be dead. That was nicely arranged. Now they won't be able to talk.
How about the old man?
In the cabin, he saw nothing. It is almost dark. We can persuade him to leave us at any time now.
Wait. Someplace over Tibet.
As you say.
Karkanov's man hadn't flown before. I could see it in his face. And I was thinking about the wicker basket. That was the cargo I could carry alone, all alone. I didn't have to land at Calcutta. I could go on to Bombay and be out of India on a ship to Africa before morning. The moon was bright over Tibet and it looked like a ghost land. The old Chinese seemed to be sleeping when I glanced back. His head bent down over the precious basket in his lap. I nodded to Leontovich. He moved slowly, methodically. He slipped an arm under the old man's head, jerked an elbow tight against his throat. I saw the old man's eyes, the terror and the hope mixed with surprise, then realization, then resignation. He slumped and the basket slid to the floor at his feet. I set the ship on the automatic pilot and went back into the cabin.
He is ready to leave us.
I'll open the hatch. You carry him over and dump him out.
Such a shame. But at least we shall keep the basket for remembrance.
He picked the old man up. I opened the hatch. As Leontovich came to the door, he felt the vacuum full of the rushing air sliding past the plane. He tried to draw back, but I caught him with my foot and shoved them both out. No! I was alone in the cabin with the basket. When I opened it, I didn't even mind the stink of the hides. American dollars, British pounds, and jewelry. In a few hours, I'd be sailing from Bombay. A millionaire sailing from Bombay. Something was wrong. I felt it as I started back over the hump. It was bumpy, and the ship slithered and kicked, and there was a wall of darkness outside. There was something inside, too. Something or somebody in the cabin of the ship. I turned on the cabin lights and looked back, and there was nothing but a load of hides, but the feeling wouldn't go away. I tried to shake it off. In half an hour, I'd be passing over Kathmandu, just the sound in the night. I had to have a look through the cabin. I set the ship on the automatic pilot and slid from the seat, but she bucked me, and I had to grab the controls. Mount Everest was someplace nearby in the dark. I was sweating. I couldn't leave the controls now. I had to stay with them. I kept looking back into the cabin with that same feeling. Then I saw it. I saw something long and thin slithering across the hides. A loose rope. I tried to tell myself it was a loose rope, but a rope doesn't move like that. Then the head lifted. The hooded head of a Cobra. A Cobra in the plane. Plane in the nearest base was Kathmandu, still 20 minutes away, and I couldn't take my hands off the controls. I flicked the radio switch. Black Cat. This is Red Kitten calling Black Cat. Come in, Black Cat. Red Kitten calling. Come in, Black Cat. Over.
Black Cat to Red Kitten. It is a surprise to hear from you, sir. You should be in Calcutta, sir.
You know where I am, you devil, you filthy little devil.
Has my pet awakened? He wants to be fed, sir. The Cobra is very mean when he is not fed.
You put him in the plane.
The sting of the Cobra kills swiftly, Mr. Sabin.
What can I do? Jafar, I'm begging you. What can I do?
Nothing, sir. There's nothing you can do. I could help you,
He's getting
but...
closer. Please, he's getting closer, please. Please.
You do not like my music, sir.
Music.
A serenade on the flute might distract him, but you do not care for the flute.
Play it! For heaven's sake, man, play it. He's only 6 feet away from me.
I will play, but will you land at Kathmandu?
Yes, only play it. Play! The snake came closer. That ugly hooded head, spreading and raising and weaving in time with the music coming over the radio. He was only 2 feet away. Death only 2 feet away, and if Jafar stopped playing, he'd strike. An ugly, ill-tempered, hungry cobra, deadly to anybody but Jafar, who knew when he wanted to be fed. He knew the only thing in the world that could hold him was that flute. That flute, as long as Jafar kept playing it. I was over the hump. I saw the oil fires being lit on the strip at Black Cat. That meant that Grant knew I was coming in. The flute was driving me mad. And the Cobra. I never knew when he'd strike at some movement of my hands on the controls, and yet I had to move him to land. Oh, Grant, where are you?
I'm here, Slavin.
Please, give me landing instructions. Please, Grant!
When you hit the strip, taxi over to the operations shack, as close as you can get. Jafar can keep the flute going. We'll open the hatch and try to distract the snake. Maybe we can get you out.
Make him keep playing, Grant. Make him keep playing.
We're coming out to watch your landing. I have the police with me, Slavin. Your friends in Calcutta have already been arrested on Jafar's information.
I made my approach to the strip. The head of the snake never stopped weaving. I could see Grant and the police in the light of the oil fires. I cut the motors, dropped down at the edge of the field. Another minute. If Jafar could just keep playing another minute. I was ready to set her down. The ground was right under the wings. And then the flute stopped!
Happy landing!
Jafar! Jafar, he's missing!
Well, what do you think, officer? Will he live?
Oh, bad crash. Afraid not. Too bad about your plane.
Oh, it's insured. I'll get another.
You might possibly get the money and the jewels, too, if nobody claims them. I doubt if anybody will.
No matter. I only want what is my own.
Well, Jafar, I'm afraid I shall have to arrest you.
Why, sir? There is no law that says I must play my flute.
No, but you deliberately put the snake in the plane.
The snake lies there dead, sir. Have you examined it? It is not poisonous. The poison sac and the fangs I removed long ago.
Oh, you mean the snake couldn't have hurt him?
He couldn't have been killed by that snake any more than he could have been shot by an unloaded gun.
I did not harm him, sir. My people do not use violence. It is against our belief.
I see, that's a strange one. No matter how long I'm out here, I'll never understand him.
Neither will Slavin, I'm afraid. You better cover him. He's dead.
Here's a weather forecast that's guaranteed to be accurate. There is a lot of hot weather coming, and driving in hot weather can spell trouble for your car, cause serious wear, sudden breakdowns. Don't take chances. See the Richfield gasoline dealer tomorrow and ask him to protect all points of your car with Richfield All-Point Safety Service. Richfield All-Point Safety Service is especially designed to guard your car against wear and breakdowns. The Richfield gasoline dealer will change your oil to Rich Lube all-weather motor oil, the Pennsylvania premium-grade oil that cleans as it lubricates. He'll safely lubricate your chassis, differential, wheel bearings, and transmission. And he can care for automatic transmissions, too, with top-rated Richfield automatic transmission fluid. And finally, the Richfield dealer will safety check your car for all likely trouble spots. Get Richfield All-Point Safety Service for your car tomorrow. Stop where you see the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps. Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight has presented Serenade for a Cobra by Joel Murcott. Featured in the cast were Charles McGraw as Slavin, Ramsey Hill as Grant, Jay Novello was Jafar, Also heard were Lucille Meredith, Joseph Kearns, and Paul Frees. Special music arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Next week.
You're slowly walking down the deserted street of a small cow town, and coming toward you is one of the bloodiest gunfighters of the West who has sworn to kill you and from whom there is no escape.
Next week at this time, the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York invites you to escape to the range country of the early West and to the story of a boy who grew up to be a gunfighter, as Joel Murcott tells it in his exciting story, Sundown. Goodbye, then, until this same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. Tom Hanlon speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Escape, brought to you by your Richfield gasoline dealer and the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York. Marketers of Richfield gasolines, motor oils, and other petroleum products. Look for the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue puffs.
Tonight, we escape to the Old West in the story of a boy who never owned anything but a gun. As Joel Murcott tells it in his exciting tale, Sundown.
The sun is kissing the top of the mountains, and in a minute the shadows will start to sneak along the street. It's sundown, and you can't do nothing to stop it. Everybody knows that. That's why the town looks like a ghost town. Not a horse nor a rider in sight, not even a tumbleweed. Oh, there's folks around, all right, looking out from door cracks and windows. And now the street ain't empty no more. Here's what they've been waiting for. There's Kirby Hunsaker coming out of the saloon at one end of the town, and there's Ben Ford coming from the liver stable at the other end. Both of them walking towards each other slow, right hands hanging like claws, an inch from the gun holsters. In a minute, one of them will be dead. Kirby Hunsaker or Ben Ford. Little Ben. Nothing but a baby when I picked him up off of the desert 15 years ago. Hold up a minute, Sam.
What is it?
Over there, dried out hole, see?
Yeah, looks like a man.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, it's a man right enough. Or what's left of him.
Oh, he's come a long way for water. Come to the wrong place. Give me a hand with him.
You alive?
I don't know. Yeah, he's alive. Can't he?
Here, friend. Swig this.
You better hold it to him.
Huh?
Son's got his eyes are blind.
Oh.
Drink it. Drink just a little bit of it. It ain't gonna help him much. Burn clean through.
Yeah.
That better?
Thanks. My wife and my kid.
Yeah, where there?
Back there. Where I left the wagon. Animals died. I came for water.
Better give him some more, Dan. No, he don't need it no more. All we can do is find his wife and kid, if there's anything left to find. There was something left. A sun-baked wagon in the midst of that hellish inferno, a dead woman and a kid. 5-year-old boy. His face is burned, his lips is cracked with fever, but his eyes stared out across that desert like they was following some nightmare that nobody else could see. He didn't cry, he didn't whimper, he didn't talk. We gave him water and he took it. Wasn't no place to send him. He just stood there watching us as we buried his mother.
Well, what do we do about him?
A kid? Take him with us, I reckon. Ain't much else we can do.
Ain't nobody on the ranch to take care of him.
No, ain't nobody here neither. He's like a little cactus, Sam. He'll grow or he'll die. He grew. Big, raw-boned kid, and by the time he was 12, he could handle a man's work. And I had a feeling for him, a feeling like he was my own. A feeling that could make me hurt when I looked at him.
Dan?
Yeah, Ben?
Do I have any money?
Well, yeah, I reckon you have. You work for your keep.
How much do I have, Dan?
Well, now, I don't know. It takes some figuring. But this is your home, boy. Everything that's here is yours.
Do I have enough to buy a horse?
Why, I reckon so.
Then I want my own horse.
See. All right, boy. Take your pick.
That 3-year-old black with a star on his face. I want him.
All right. You just bought yourself a horse. Yeah, he'd bought himself a horse, but it was more than that to him. It meant he had something that was his, come flutter thunder, something in the world that belonged to him and not to nobody else. It gave him a reason for being alive, and he started to build his life around that black horse. No horse ever got care like that. Ben had had the horse for almost a year when Kirby Hunsaker came. He rode in one afternoon while me and Sam was down at the corral. Ben was in town with a buckboard picking up supplies when Hunsaker rode in, just pounding leather.
Well, Mike. Well. Howdy.
Howdy. Your horse looks like he could use a rest, stranger.
Needs shoeing. He'd be all right. I'll trade him and cash for a fresh horse.
Ain't nobody gonna ride a horse of mine that way.
Maybe you didn't hear me. I said I'm going to trade him. That means I'm going to trade him. My name's Kirby Hunsaker.
He said the name like it should mean something, and it did. Kirby Hunsaker, a name that was drifting all over the West with a trail of blood behind it. Stagecoach drivers and travelers carried it on their tongues, and he knew it. He had a face like a woman, and eyes like a steel trap, and there wasn't no glove on his right hand. It was brown and wetted from sun and wind, and it hung close to his right side like a claw, never more than an inch from the butt of his gun. A gunfighter.
If you're thinking it over, you're wasting my time.
Better do it, Dan.
All right, Hunsaker.
I'll take the black with the star on his face. Put a rope on him. I said put a rope on him.
Not that one. He ain't mine.
I ain't asking whose he is. Put a rope on him.
Any other horse, any one you want, even Trey.
Get that horse and keep your hand away from that gun.
Dan, do what he says. You can give young Ben the Palomino. He's just a kid, and a horse is a horse. He'll forget about it.
No, he won't, Sam. He won't never forget it.
Pronto, friend. Put a rope on that black pronto.
There wasn't nothing else to do. Hunsaker saddled Ben's horse and just lit out down the trail. Me and Sam just stood there. We were still standing there when Ben brought the buckboard back from town. I watched his eyes go to the corral like they always did, and then he turned and looked at me and Sam like we was a firing squad.
Where's my horse, Dan?
I told him. His face was like stone, but there was a change in his eyes. They got back that same look they had the day I picked him up half dead on the desert. Lost and robbed and helpless.
You let him take my horse.
Well, that Palomino's worth twice as much, boy.
Not to me, Dan. The Palomino ain't mine.
Yes, he is. And I'm giving him to you.
I don't want him. I want my own horse.
Hey, simmer down, boy. You come back here.
Let him go, Sam. Let him go. He'll cool off. We might as well unload this here buckboard.
All right, I'll drive her on up the house.
Get up there, boy.
Hey, Ben! Ben, wait!
Hey, that fool kid ain't even using a saddle.
Crazy. He's going after Hunsaker. Huh? Hurry up, Sam. Saddle up. Hurry up. He was riding hard and light, and we was distance before we even got started. But we followed the cloud of dust that trailed after him. Then sundown hit, and he was lost somewheres in the night.
There ain't much chance to find him now, unless he stops and strikes fire.
He won't stop. Yeah, be a moon pretty quick.
Hey, wait. Listen.
Yeah, it's a horse. Oh. Must be over at the edge of that ridge.
Hey, let's take a look. It's a horse, all right.
Looks like the roan the kid was riding.
Something else there, too, on the ground.
We rode up. There was another horse on the ground. And in the light of the moon, I could see the white star on its black face. Ben was sitting on the ground beside him. A few feet away was the body of a man. I rolled it over face up. It was an Indian. There was a bullet hole in his head.
What happened, Ben?
I don't know. This is the way I found him.
What's wrong with Star, Ben?
His leg's broken.
Oh, I must have stepped in a chuck hole.
Yeah. Then the Indian come by and Hunziker give him a bullet in exchange for his horse.
Huh?
Tracks in the dirt there.
It's a good thing the boy didn't catch up with him.
Yeah, it is. That's a bad break he's got there, boy.
I know.
Ain't nothing you can do for him.
I know.
Well, now, why don't you just ride on back to the ranch of Sam?
Yeah.
I'll stay here for a while and catch up with you later.
You don't have to do that. Lend me your gun.
Oh, now, look, boy, let's ride off, you and me.
No. He's my horse, Dan, and I've got the right to shoot him.
Yeah, Ben, I reckon you have. Here's my gun. Come on, boy.
I'm coming.
Well, me and Sam will walk off a little ways, Ben. Give you a chance to just fall if you want to. Get it off of your chest.
I'm ready to ride with you. I ain't going to cry, Dan.
He didn't cry. He hadn't cried when I picked him up off of the desert, and he didn't cry then. But the tears was inside of him someplace where they couldn't get out. Never showed in his eyes, though. Something else showed there instead. It was hate. A hate like a pure white flame. I could see it burning there when we got back to the ranch that night.
What'd you say his name was, Dan?
Who's that? Whose name?
The man who took Star.
Hannigan, I think. Yeah, Jim Hannigan.
That isn't what you said before, Dan. I want to know.
Hunziker. Kirby Hunziker.
You better go in and get some sleep, boy.
Ben, you can have your pick of anything in the corral.
I don't want another horse.
Well, when you see something that you do want, you just holler it's yours. That's a promise.
Anything, Dan?
Anything.
All right, then. I'll take your gun.
My gun?
You promised, Dan.
I promise. Here. It's yours.
Good night, Dan.
Good night, Ben.
Why, in all my days, I never heard of such a lame brain thing as giving a kid like that a gun.
Now, he'd have got one somewhere sooner or later. And if I know him right, it's best to be soon.
Oh, he's only a boy.
13. He'd get to be a man fast in the next few years.
And we can hope for him to get better sense.
You're just wasting your hopes, Sam. I'm turning mine the other way. I'm hoping that Kirby Hunziker don't never come back here.
Sometimes after years of scientific research, there comes a discovery that benefits everyone. Xylene is that kind of discovery. Xylene is a super gasoline component with one of the highest anti-knock ratings known to science. And today, Xylene benefits you whenever you use Richfield gasoline. Your car comes alive with new flashing power when you use Richfield gasoline with Xylene. For faster getaway in traffic, for new sustained power, for higher-than-ever anti-knock qualities, Richfield gasoline with Xylene is made to order. Get Richfield high octane at regular price for the average motor. Or Richfield ethyl. Ethyl at its best for finest results in the highest compression motors. Each Richfield gasoline contains Xylene. Each is a leader in its class. Tomorrow, get a tank full of Richfield gasoline with Xylene. Test it against the gasoline you're now using. Feel that Xylene zip. Stop where you see the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps for Richfield gasoline with xylene. And now we return you to Escape.
A boy and a gun. They were together night and day. Ben kept it with him in his sleep, not under the pillow, but next to his cheek, and you could see the red marks of the barrel on the side of his face when he'd get up in the morning. The rest of the time was belted around him. And when he wasn't working, he'd go off alone into the hills for target practice, and the target he used was an Express Company reward poster for Kirby Hunsaker. After the shots were all hitting the target, hitting close and fast, he stopped firing and was off on something else, a draw. I'd catch him at it in the house or in the barn, wherever he thought he was alone. He started to wear his belt different, too, with the gun holster tied low on his right hip and his right hand hung by his side like a claw. And it got more claw-like with the passing years. The rest of him had changed, too. He wasn't a boy no more. He was a man. We heard about Kirby Hunsaker. More and more we heard about him. His name had gotten big since he took a kid's horse. Got to be one of the three names mentioned most when the talk in the saloons turned to gunslingers. Jim Dunn, Boaz Watson, and Kirby Hunsaker. Killers for hire for any dirty job outside of the law. But all jealous of each other, all bound to meet someday and find out who'd be just a flick faster on the draw. And Ben had to be there the night a stray cowpuncher stopped in to rest his horse.
More coffee, stranger?
Yeah, thanks. Reckon I will.
Watered your horse. Sure needed it. You must have come a long way.
Yeah, from Goldfield. Been riding lucky, though. I come through Flagstaff just in time to see the fight.
What fight?
You mean you ain't heard about it? It must have been riding faster than I thought. You ought to seen it. Never was a gunfight like it.
Who was in it?
Two of the best. Big Jim Dunn and Kirby Hunsaker.
Ben grabbed the edge of the table and his face got as white as borax, like a lead bullet had hit him in the gut.
Which one of them got it?
I prayed for the right answer. The answer that would have been right for me, not the one that Ben wanted.
Oh, Hunsaker beat him. Dunn never cleared his holster.
Color come back into Ben's face, and that pure white flame of hate burned in his eyes again.
Hunsaker got the draw on Big Jim Dunn?
Oh, yeah. I wish I could have stayed in Flagstaff. Boaz Watson someplace in the territory, too, and as soon as he gets wind of it, he'll be on Hunsaker's trail for a showdown.
Well, if Dunn never cleared his holster, then the man ain't born that can outdraw Hunsaker.
Boaz Watson thinks he can. He's been itching for the chance.
It's a chance he ain't going to get.
Ben, where are you going to?
Just thought I'd take a little ride, Dan.
Flagstaff?
Flagstaff, Dan. And don't try to stop me.
Trying to stop him would have been like trying to stop an avalanche, but he couldn't stop me from following neither. He rode day and night, trading mounts on the way, and I was an hour behind him when he reached Flagstaff on the third morning of his ride and started his hunt. He tried the hotel, the express office, and one by one the saloons, asking the questions and seeing faces go blank. He was easy to find when I got to town. He left a trail of questions behind him, and I found him in the last saloon on the street, still asking.
Did you hear what I asked you, bartender?
Yeah, I heard. How should I know?
Does he ever come in here?
Well, I just serve drinks. I don't watch who comes and goes.
I'm tired of walking and I'm tired of talking. I want an answer.
Well, I reckon he comes in sometimes.
When?
Usually about an hour from now.
Good. I'll wait.
Come buy me a drink, Ben?
If that's what you came for, Dan.
Been rough trailing you, boy. Men and horses ain't meant to be pushed that hard.
I was in a hurry.
Well, maybe we can take it easier going back. Maybe if we left right now, we could camp out someplace tonight like we used to.
Ask me later, Dan. This is something I gotta do first.
He wouldn't drink and he wouldn't leave. He just stood there waiting, looking at nothing. He might have been carved out of rock. There wasn't a nerve in him. And then I heard the door swing the way it had a couple of times before, only this time it was different. The talk around the table's cut out, The bartender's hands tightened around the glass he'd been wiping. Every head in the place turned towards the door. It was Kirby Hunsaker. I knew that place. It'd grown heavier and crueler, but I knew it. He stood there in the doorway while them bear-trap eyes of his searched the room, moving first from gun belt to gun belt, flicking an extra beat on the ones that hung low, looking for the hands without gloves. Then his glance come up to face level, like a half-sailor examining ore. Well, him and Ben hadn't never seen each other before, but somehow they knew each other. Their eyes caught and held, like two longhorns locked together.
I hear somebody's looking for me. In case anybody don't know me, name's Kirby Hunsaker.
I'm looking for you.
Speak your piece.
A long time ago, when I couldn't do anything about it, you stole a horse from me.
You called me a horse thief?
You ran him into a chuck hole and you left him with a broken leg. I had to shoot him.
You got nerve. Name your price. I might pay it.
You'll pay it. My price is the life of the man who stole that horse.
You got a gun. Dig for it.
You move first, Hunsaker.
I'm giving you an edge. Better take it.
No. I want to give you a little time, Hunsaker. If I draw first, then you got to move without thinking. But I want you to think. I want you to think and decide and worry.
You're talking big. A little too big.
I want to give you time, like you gave it to a horse with a broken leg. Because you won't draw fast enough, Hunsaker. Not even if you move first. I'm going down to the livery stable to take a nap. At sundown, I'm coming back up the street, and I don't want anybody on it. You better shoot me in the back while I'm going out that door, because if you don't, I'm going to kill you, Hunsaker.
The flame was in Hunsaker's eyes, too. But it was a man's hate, not pure and white, but diluted with the memory of the way Ben's gun hung, and diluted with just a shadow of fear. Ben went back and slept like he said. I sat beside him for the best part of an hour. Then I shook him, kind of gentle. Sun's hanging pretty low, Ben. Just about time to get up and walk.
Why don't you start for home, Dan? I'll catch up to you later.
Well, I thought that I'd wait up at the hotel.
All right, Dan. See you later.
Yeah, man. I'll see you later. So here I am, in the window of the hotel, and yonder he is in the street, him and Kirby Hunsaker, walking towards each other. And the town is so quiet you can hear their steps on the boardwalk. The fingers of the right hands is clawed like hooks, almost touching the gun butts. Don't even seem like the sun is moving anymore. Like even the shadows is glued there on the ground waiting for one of them hands to move. Because when it comes, it'll come fast.
Better dig, Hunsaker.
You pump.
I'm going to collect for that horse. That's your receipt, Hunsaker.
Ben, are you all right, boy?
I'm all right. Let's walk.
Well, it's all over now, boy. Let's saddle up and go on home.
Hey, wait.
It's the blacksmith. Guess the horses are ready.
Express rider came in just after you left before. Boys, Watson is riding in. He met him on the trail. You gonna stay and meet him?
Me? I got no quarrel with Boaz Watson.
Well, looks like you will have. He was mighty keen on meeting up with Hunsaker. Looks like you've taken over Hunsaker's place.
You'd better go on alone, Dan.
What do you mean, Ben?
I killed Hunsaker. Now every gunslinger looking for a reputation will try to get it by killing me. From now on, I gotta fight or run.
Well, I'll stay with you. I've been holed up in one place too long anyhow.
No, Dan. This is where we gotta split. Right now. Thanks for everything. I'll never forget you. Goodbye, Dan.
Goodbye, Ben. Goodbye, boy. Goodbye, son. Yeah, he's a gunfighter now. A gunslinging madman will see to that. But he won't never be an outlaw like Kirby Hunsaker or Boaz Watson or Jim Dunn. He kill if they force him to it. But ain't nobody never gonna buy his gun for killing. 'Cause he's got to own something. Desert took his family. I couldn't make up for him. Kirby Hunsaker took his horse, and he'll never really own another one. But there's one thing he's got in this world. That gun. That gun is his. He owns it.
No one wants to have car trouble, especially on a vacation trip. But sometimes we forget that faulty or neglected lubrication can cause wear and breakdown in any car. To keep trouble away, see the Richfield gasoline dealer tomorrow. Get all-point protection against summer wear and breakdown with Richfield all-point safety service. This service gives your car the extra protection of new Rich Lube lithium lubricant, the premium lubricant that's better always. And Richfield all-point safety service also includes all-point lubrication of your chassis, transmission, differential, and wheel bearings. And to protect your motor in hot summer driving, the Richfield dealer puts in fresh, clean, Rich Lube all-weather motor oil. The Pennsylvania premium grade oil that cleans as it lubricates. But that's not all. As a final precaution, the Richfield dealer makes a safety check of your battery, tires, spark plugs, and radiator. So tomorrow, stop where you see the Richfield Eagle and the cream and blue pumps. Protect your car with Richfield all-point safety service. Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight has presented Sundown by Joel Murcott. Featured in the cast were Barton Yarbrough as Dan, Sam Edwards as Ben, Will Gear as Sam, Ted Osborne as Hunsaker, John Ramsey Hill as young Ben, and also heard were Paul Freese and John Daner. Special music arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Next week.
You are trapped on a dwindling sandbar amid the rushing waters of a South American jungle river. Night is coming, and with it hordes of Amazonian vampire bats. The river surrounding you teems with ferocious piranha, the cannibal fish, from whom there is no escape.
Next week at this time, the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York invites you to escape to the jungles of South America with a seething tale of terror and violence, as James Poe tells it in Bloodbath, starring Vincent Price. Goodbye, then, until this same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. Tom Hanlon speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.